Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I am your host, Josh, and with me are my two co-hosts here.
What's up? It's your boy Nick.
And this is Dusk.
And we got a big show for you people today. Been gone for a little bit, a couple of weeks, but we are back, and we are back with the reviews heavy today. We're going to be discussing, of course, the big movie out, Thor Love and Thunder. Going to be discussing that. Thor's fourth film. Is this the first time a superhero has ever had a fourth film, an individual superhero?
I don't think it's the first time.
Oh, Superman. Superman had
first time. Oh, yeah, Superman. I think it's the first time a Marvel character has had 4 movies.
Yeah, Superman. Yeah, he had 4 movies, and the Batman movies also as well with the Tim Burton, and then it continued to Joel Schumacher. So those all are connected.
Those are. Those are technically all connected.
Yeah. So but this is the first time a MCU hero has had a 4th film. You could say that. So the Thor's, he's breaking ground there. Good for him. We're also going to be discussing that. Going to be discussing as well The Boys finale. It happened. We got a lot to talk about. We last left off episode 4, but we're also going to be including the series as a whole, discussing everything that's happened this season, what our thoughts on this season is, comparing it with the other seasons, where the show could go in season 4, how long the show should last, everything like that. So
our thoughts on the highlights, and in the case of one particular episode, the lowlights.
Yeah. So I'm going to be kind of getting into all of that stuff. Nick, I don't know, Dusk, have you noticed that is like stuff with Nick kind of like slow, or it's like kind of out of sync or something?
I think it's on your end, bud. I hear him just fine.
I'm talking about the way he kind of like looks at all. Like, does he look kind of like slow motion kind of, or like that?
Oh, you mean like camera? Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Probably just kill the camera.
Yeah, that's fine. That's honestly, we can hear you loud and clear. That's what matters.
Yeah. All right. So going to be getting into that. So Kenobi also ended last week. We weren't here to able to talk about the finale. Does he finally, did it end good for him? He's been the harshest critic of Kenobi on the panel.
Oh,
Lord. Going to be kind of discussing everything Kenobi this season, and possibly if they're going to do a season 2 or not. Do we want a season 2? Also, there was a fan who did a fan edit of Kenobi, who cut it down to like 2.5 hours. So,
praise that man.
Salute to that gentleman.
Jesus. Yeah, that's what it should have been if they were going to do this at all.
Also, Miss Marvel had its penultimate episode this week.
Yep.
The final episode is coming next week. We're going to be also giving our finale review of that in Miss Marvel next week. But today we're going to be catching up, because last we left off of Miss Marvel, we did only 2 episodes, I think.
I think we left off after the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, so we're going to be kind of getting into that and what we kind of been thinking about the show so far. And then of course going to be getting into some news, some sad news this coming around. James Caan, he passed away, actor mostly known for things like playing Sonny Corleone in The Godfather, as well as in the Stephen King movie adaptation Misery. Kind of some of his famous roles. Also was in Elf, which was another big one for a lot of people. He passed away at the age of 82. Also, you have the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, who also passed away. Unfortunate incident with that. Takahashi, who passed away at the age of 60. We're kind of going to be getting into that, detailing that. Also, the actor from The Sopranos, Tony Sircio, also passed away at the age, who played Paulie in The Sopranos, died at the age of 79. So kind of some sad news kind of there. We're going to be getting into that. Clerks 3 trailer. So that we're going to be discussing that. That's kind of the only trailer that's kind of come out, trailer news-wise, as far as I know. Kevin Smith is back again with Clerks. We're going to be discussing why the hell is he doing that. And we're going to kind of get into Daredevil, Kingpin. They've been announced that they are going to be coming back, and they're going to be in the Echo series. Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio. Also just announced today that the director of Captain America 4 has a director. And we're going to be
What?
discussing it.
They're gonna bring back Chris. Oh no, they're not gonna bring back Chris Evans. It's gonna be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, basically.
Yeah, they're going to be doing
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So how is everybody doing? Haven't done a show with you guys in a while. How's everybody?
Just been super busy, man. Everything's kind of just gearing up for my final transfer back to the U.S. in I think next month.
Oof.
Next month. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So I'll finally be within the same hemisphere as you guys when I
It's
do the
alright.
show.
Mm.
Well, also, to be fair, welcome home.
Thank you.
At a time, no matter how you feel about it. Good to have you back.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Good to have you. Have you coming back? Yeah. So it should be a good show. Saturday, we're going to be discussing Stranger Things. Part 2 for season 4 got released. So we're going to be delving in that Saturday. And Saturday we're going to have a big show. Quite a bit of guests kind of going to come through.
Hours.
What'd you say?
Over 5 hours.
Yeah. Over 5 hours of content for that part 2. So yeah, that's a meaty part. So we're going to be just holding that off till Saturday because today we got a full show. But we got also big show tomorrow. A lot of guests coming through. Elijah, he's going to be coming through. Thor, Obama, Elijah, he's going to be kind of making his way through, discussing Thor with us, getting into some spoilers as well as Josh Hunter, who's from the Real Pineapple. Nice. He's a big comic book guy as well. Also Kasem, MMA guy, MMA fighter.
Oh shit!
Oh really?
Also Nerd. He's going to be coming through, also doing Thor with us.
No one says you can't beat someone up and then still not be a nerd.
Yeah, hey man, it's the wave, man. Hey, nerds come in all shapes and sizes, man.
Yes, I do.
So he's going to be coming through for that. Black Phone, for our Black Phone review, we're going to be discussing that. This new Scott Derrickson movie, written by C. Robert Cargill. We're going to be getting into that, and also joining us is a critic, Ashley Lynch. She's going to be joining us for that movie. And we have going to be having our editor, Matt. He's going to be coming through. I don't know, you guys have never met Matt, but he's our editor there. He's going to be coming through with the Minions. He's going to be giving us our Minions review, Rise of Gru. So he showed up, even dressed up for me. He even dressed up for it. Went the whole gentleman Minions route. Got all dappered up.
What is that meme?
So basically, there was a bunch of theaters that for some reason just wouldn't let people, like guys or adults who were dressed up like really well, just not into the movie theater if they were going to see the Minions. They just would not let them through. And so I don't know why that particular theater didn't do it. Well, that one didn't do it, but all of a sudden that became a meme, and then just people started showing up in droves, dressed gentlemanly.
Dressed in fucking dressed to the nines to go see the Minions.
To show Minions. So yeah, it had the Streisand effect, basically.
Yeah.
Where does that meme even come from?
Yeah.
We have a first-time chatter, Callie Skywalker. Says Thor Love and Thunder was a letdown, in my opinion. We're going to be getting into the review of Thor Love and Thunder pretty soon here. So yeah, Minions, as well as tomorrow we're going to be doing Elvis, the Baz Luhrmann, Austin Butler, Tom Hanks film. We're going to be getting into that tomorrow, and Lightyear. We also missed that while I was gone. He says his name is Kal-El. Sorry, Kal-El.
Superman.
Oh, okay. All right, I see it.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into that tomorrow. So yeah, we got a packed show tomorrow, and a good show today. So we're going to be getting into it. So Thor Love and Thunder. Thor Love and Thunder is the 4th movie in the Thor franchise. Taika Waititi has come back to direct his second Thor film after directing the, I think, mostly praised, kind of well-received Thor Ragnarok film. Even though now I think I've seen some dissension amongst people whether they like this tone of Thor. We're going to be getting into that during the review.
But that's the way film Twitter goes. Like the first 2 weeks, everyone loves the film. Then when it drops on Disney Plus, no one gives a shit. And then a couple years later, everyone turns on the film and hates it.
Yeah.
That's the way film Twitter goes.
film Twitter, yes, but the movie itself, not necessarily. And even at the time, I brought up that I wasn't that big of a fan of Ragnarok, and actually thought it was one of the weaker films in the MCU.
That's
But
where
that,
didn't really care about Thor as a character until they decided to, write him in a way that plays to Hemsworth's strengths as an actor. In that they did basically make Thor a himbo.
Yeah.
yeah, and
But
I hate
I
that for it.
but I agree with one point that with as much as I like Ragnarok, I think they undercut a lot of the dramatic moments with jokes
Yes.
that don't really fit. They got to laugh, but it's like let your stakes like be high.
Right.
Yeah. So they're back here with Thor: Love and Thunder. Whether that tone is going to be a little bit different for people here, whether they have come to kind of like it better, we're kind of going to be getting into all that with the review. So like I said, so this is kind of the fourth movie of of the Thor franchise. Taika Waititi's come back along with other kind of members here. You have Korg, who is played by also Taika Waititi, who's back. You have Valkyrie, who's back, who's played by Tessa Thompson. Also, a returning character from the Thor franchise, who we saw in the first two movies, Natalie Portman, who's come back as Jane Foster. This time, she's come back as the Mighty Thor. And just like much with Thor: Love and Thunder, much with Thor Ragnarok, Thor: Love and Thunder does what that movie did, where it combines two comic book storylines. And Thor Ragnarok, it was kind of combining the Planet Hulk storyline, as well as the kind of destruction of Asgard, kind of that different storyline there. So it kind of combined those two different comic book storylines. And with Thor: Love and Thunder, what it combines is the Jane Foster storyline, where she became Thor, and then also the storyline of Gore the God Butcher. And Gore the God Butcher here is played by Christian Bale. Seeing the movie kind of, now, I know there was a lot of discussion on Christian Bale's look. They said that they did change the look of the character not to match Voldemort from the Harry Potter series. I think for the most part, I think it's a good look. I think I still prefer the look in the comic. I think that look is still a lot bit better. And then what they do with the power of Gore, because in the comic, Gore power comes from the symbiote, something that they couldn't do here because the MCU, Marvel, Disney,
Owned by Sony, can't do it.
Because Sony has tainted that label.
Yeah.
Of the symbiotes.
Yes, very much so. And Kal-El said Thor, God of Thunder, and Mighty Thor comics. And they said the comic was so much better. So it's kind of combining those different storylines here. And in there, so you have the main villain of Gore the God Butcher, who's played by Christian Bale, whose whole mission is basically, if you play God of War, it's basically Kratos. It's the same kind of character arc here for that character, where he is a person who is a devout worshiper of the gods, believes in the gods, has so much faith in the gods. But the gods, they turn, he realized what shitbags they are, basically. And he decides to go on a mission to kill every single god with the help of his blade, and basically murder every single god in the entire universe.
Yeah, it's like something called like the Necro something.
Yeah,
the Necro sword. Yeah, Christian Bale basically read any book about like Greek or Roman mythology and said, you know what? Fuck these guys, all of them.
Yeah,
it's not really wrong.
So that basically sets him off on his mission of that, and where he intersects with Thor. So with this movie, I was very much looking forward to it. I was a big fan of Ragnarok. Ragnarok, I think, is one of the few great movies of the MCU that they have. I was a big fan of the tone and the style of that movie, and it very much differed from the other two Thor movies, which I thought were very much weak. I didn't like Thor Dark World all that much, and I thought the first Thor was just average for me. So when Ragnarok came about, to me, it had a lot of style. It had a lot of flair to it. And them leaning on Chris Hemsworth, you see kind of this difference, now that he has in his career of playing roles like in Ghostbusters, where, the guy's actually got some good comedic chops. He's actually pretty good at it. And they kind of use that to their benefit here. And for me, I'm personally a guy that from Ragnarok onward, I have liked what they've kind of done with the Thor character. I could see kind of some of the complaints that people have of people said they've made him too dumb. I don't think he's dumb necessarily. I think there's you see the cracks in that where it's the stuff like in Infinity War where he's talking about how he's a guy that's lost so much, and a lot of it is him kind of hiding behind that in order to have himself just be kind of closed off and not people see his true pain. And then in Endgame, I know a lot of people didn't like that, where they kind of, they seemed like they just was like one big fat joke they kind of throughout the movie. That I thought was still okay. It was fine for me. And I will say that right off the bat, that Thor: Love and Thunder is not as good as Ragnarok. I don't think it is. I think that, but that I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that Ragnarok was such kind of a breath of fresh air for this character. Now that we've kind of already seen it, it's kind of like, okay, you're doing it and you're doing it again, and then and you're leaning on it, and I think it still kind of works, but I don't think it's as strong as what they did with Ragnarok, and I think Ragnarok was a lot tighter. What were kind of you guys' thoughts on the movie?
I kind of feel the same way about Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, the same way I do about Guardians and Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 1 and 2. I feel like both are kind of using similar styles because both are made by the same director, but but I think with Love and Thunder, it takes some of the weaker elements of Ragnarok, which was, like I said, that undercutting dramatic tension with jokes way too often for my taste, and they kind of pulled back on that in some ways here. It was like when it's a scene of drama, or you let Christian Bale act as Gore the God Butcher, they didn't try to undercut him with a whole lot of jokes, which I think works really well. I liked how they integrated Natalie Portman's Jane Foster back into the story. They finally let her be a character outside of giving Chris Hemsworth the fuck me eyes for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Dusk?
And some of the jokes in here, I don't think it's as funny a movie as Love and Thunder, but I think the running jokes here work better than in Ragnarok.
Dusk?
Ooh, how do I even come to this? This movie is probably what will probably be seen as when MCU finally became a joke, of when it just said, who cares? If you have any interest or any desire to see any of these mythological characters, or characters from the comics or Greek mythology or Norse mythology or any other characters represented with any decency, respect, care, don't watch this movie. If you want to see some fun, flair, action, and occasional serious moments by Christian Bale, who elevates the crap out of this movie, sure, check it out. It's fine. It's a fine enough entertainment in that regard. But every aspect of this movie, if you enjoyed Ragnarok and felt, hey, maybe it was a little too goofy and it kind of undercut all the aspects of the character of Thor that we've been building up, or other aspects of it for a while now, well, sir, you have not even begun to see what they do for this one, and how much they just do not even care in the least about his character and treat him like a complete himbo joke of a character. They lose any lasting ounce of any form of Shakespearean quality that was left in his character. And I think from this going forward, I would not suggest giving Taika Waititi any more control of this. If Ragnarok was with him having control but restrained, this is him having no one to tell him no. And the man just doesn't have any funny bone in his body. It doesn't have any serious bone in his body. When you give him his own stuff, like Jojo Rabbit, it's hilarious. It's actually really good. And he's able to find like a weird balance. In other works, he's actually a pretty good director in some aspects. There are points when you're in the monochrome areas of where Gore, the God Butcher, is. And that's genuinely interesting and kind of the best parts of it when they kind of go to this area. But when we're talking about plot beats, character motivation, character moments, and proper usage of tone, Batman couldn't care less of what came before. Couldn't care less of what's going on. And if you care even a little bit about that, you're just not going to have a good time. That's just my feeling on it.
So basically, if you liked Thor and Thor the Dark World, if you like those movies...
No,
you're
I don't even
basically
Thor
gonna hate
1.
this
Just
one.
Thor 1. Or even Thor Infinity. Or Thor Ultron. Or any of those, which I consider... At least Ultron/Infinity Thor is considered peak. And you know what? You can say all those other points of, oh, well, Infinity War, he was able... Well, they took the stupid out. They actually had a competent writer come in and go, yeah, maybe let's pull back on the whole Ragnarok thing and actually make him a character again briefly. Until Endgame comes and they just go, the hell with that. And now they're doing it again. And it's just, there's no consistency in this damn thing. There's just joke. Yeah. And look, if you want to make a complete comedy and a complete joke of this, fine. Don't have it in the MCU then. Stuff is a one-off. Do a what if.
Well, I mean, I think most of the movies in the MCU roster is mostly comedies. I think they're comedies slash, heist movies, comedies slash, this comedy slash. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy.
But at least they find a balance. They have levity. There's a difference. You can have levity and to release tension and use it properly.
Both Ant-Man movies are basically just like heist comedies.
And I hate the second Ant-Man movie. I absolutely hate it. That one scene where he's trying to explain his background, and all I'm asking from the characters is just to hear, I want to hear Lawrence Fishburne explain his character, and that goddamn phone coming in is like, oh no, I just want to answer it just because they lost their stupid ass shoe. Get that out of here. Get all that crap out of here. Treat something with respect, damn it. Something.
Okay.
Either something matters or nothing matters.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the MCU stuff, that's kind of mostly what they do. Then, it's people have also complained about that, undercutting the tension, with comedic moments. I think here with this movie, I think there's a lot of that. I think there's quite a bit of that here. And I think there was some of that also in Ragnarok. I think with here, I think Taika Waititi also has some good emotional moments because I think the moments with Jane is very good. And if you know the storyline from the comics with the Jason Aaron run of why she became the mighty Thor, you'll kind of get more, you'll understand that. And I think that what this movie did, which the Doctor Strange 2 did not, where it made you care about a relationship between the hero and then his main love interest, something that Doctor Strange 2 tried to do with, Doctor Strange and Christine about he loves her across all these different multiverses. And I was like, even at the end of that movie, I was like, I still didn't give a shit.
That's completely understandable.
I love Multiverse of Madness, but that is the weakest part of the movie for
Absolutely.
me. And here, I think this is the first one that actually made the relationship between Jane and Thor feel real, because in those it's mostly just Chris Hemsworth pontificating and Natalie Portman giving him the fuck me eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think she wasn't even in character really all that much in the first two Thor movies. Here, I think in this movie it really makes you care about the relationship because you see more context to their relationship, what drove them apart, and then when she comes back, it's almost kind of like a four-way between Thor, Jane, Stormbreaker, and Mjolnir. It's kind of like a you know what I mean? It's like, your ex-girl's with a new man, and they're having a great time, and then it's like, and then your old partner that's with a new partner, they've upgraded now and they look better and they're doing more cool shit.
They look better, they start dressing better.
Yeah,
they start working out, they can do more.
Yeah, I mean it's
every time and there is a running joke about every time Stormbreaker sees Thor with a new weapon, it starts acting finicky, which always got a laugh out of me. That's a running joke that I thought worked well.
Yeah, I thought the stuff they did with that, like making him, just kind of really jealous, and Stormbreaker kind of coming in and, almost looking at him, giving him, even though the Stormbreaker doesn't even have a face, you could tell it was just looking at him side-eyed, even though it doesn't even, have any eyes at all.
And every time Thor looked guilty as hell.
Yeah. I mean, so I thought that, some of that stuff I thought did work pretty well, and I did kind of like that dynamic, and I thought, that finally, Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman did have good chemistry in this movie. When it comes to kind of, kind of other things that kind of happen, like I said, Christian Bale's always good. I think, he's always good in everything he's in. And I think he's good here as Gore. It's just that there's just not enough of him. He's in the movie kind of so little.
Yes, and what this film does really well is similar to something like Black Panther or Infinity War. We open with Gore, and we get his backstory in the first few minutes of this film. I don't know if they changed it from the comics, but it does add more character. It's basically giving him the arc of like PS4 reboot Kratos versus like old God of War.
Yeah.
Without giving spoilers. And I thought that worked really well. And of course, Christian Bale, one of the greatest working actors of all time of this generation, and he is always going to bring it, no matter what.
Yeah, and I thought he brought it here. I just think you could have done more with him, and there's just not enough of him in the movie. Especially when you see that you only really hear about him killing all these gods. You only get to see one god that he kills, which I thought was disappointing. I would have liked to see him go out and you actually see him doing this, different killings and everything like that. And I think you still could have kept it in a PG-13 way, showing him kill all these different gods. I thought that was kind of disappointing.
And there's a lot of like news out there about a lot of Gore's scenes got cut. It's like we were supposed to get appearances by actors like Lena Headey, and she got cut from the film as well. There's like rumors of the Taika cut, which please Twitter shut the fuck up about, like, release the Taika cut.
Yeah,
we don't need it.
Yeah, because that's what it kind of feels like. It kind of feels like a lot of stuff was kind of really pulled for this. I mean, this is a trim. It's 2 hours. You know what I mean? It's from the longer movies that we've kind of gotten so far in this phase, it's just like a trim, kind of just quick little 2 hours. And some other new additions that kind of come in here. You have Russell Crowe's Zeus, who I don't know. I mean, it's the first time I've ever seen a live action portrayal of Zeus where he has a Greek accent. That's the first time I've ever seen that before. I don't know if anybody else.
This is the first live action portrayal of Zeus where it actually feels like somebody read Greek mythology, because he is just this fat, hedonistic Greek dude that wants to fuck everything. And Russell Crowe, he is one of the highlights of the movie because he shows the difference between chewing on scenery and munching on that shit like Tic Tacs.
Yeah. And I like the stuff with Russell Crowe as Zeus. Dust, what do you think about Russell Crowe as Zeus?
He's probably the best part of the movie. He's just Zeus. He's like the only believable part of that damn movie. He's just like, I'm Zeus, and this is the Greek Parthenon.
And where's the next orgy?
Yeah, there's the next orgy. I got thunderbolts, and what do you do in my land? I don't care about this god killer. I'm gonna F him up. And that's just what we gotta do. No, but we need your help in order to don't care. Unless I really, really need your help, I really don't care. What have you done for me lately? In fact, where's Odin?
Stopped.
Where is Odin? Odin's dead.
Zeus literally stopped and said, "That's a you problem, my guy."
He really did, basically. And you know what? I appreciate that, because he's the only one in this entire damn thing that I'm like, that makes sense. Actually, that's actually sticking to something. But hey, that lasts for a good little while, and then something happens to him, and then he's out for a little while.
Yeah.
So
that's
too long.
You also have.
Although I am curious how they're going to do a certain character, bringing them into the MCU, considering what they've done with the other characters so far.
Javon Good, he's in the chat. Hello, Javon Good. He mentions they clean up those CGI masks. They look bad in the trailer. Thank you for bringing that up. I think some of the CGI in this movie doesn't work that well. Like, there's some stuff with the mask that don't kind of look good. But I do like, overall, I like the look of the movie. I think I like this kind of aesthetic. Again, it's kind of that Ragnarok aesthetic of just the colors. Like when they go to what's it called? Iptimate City, where they
Yeah.
City of the Gods. That does look
Yeah.
good. I like the stuff they do. Of course, whenever they're traveling, like with the bridge with the goats who are basically from that meme that was there like a few years ago of the screaming goat. That's what they sound like. Let me play it real quick. It's basically that's basically what you're gonna get. Basically, it's just that meme with the kind of the screaming goats. Uh, you're kind of gonna have that there. So I like the overall look of the movie, and kind of the style they're doing with that. Even the different various kind of costumes Thor's wears. I know that a lot of the different changes in costume is just because like, hey, we got to make action figures. You know, it's like okay, here's Thor in his this costume. Here's Thor in this other costume. But you know, I did kind of like those different looks. Like when Thor was in his Thunderstruck outfit, I thought that was a cool looking outfit. You know, when he's with the Guardians. Also, by the way, if you're expecting to see a good amount of the Guardians in this, they're not in the movie that much. They're only in the movie for the first, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. And some of
Yeah,
them don't
10,
even
15.
have lines. Like, it's mostly just
Yeah.
Star-Lord who's
And-
mostly talking.
They're pretty much actively just trying to get rid of Thor.
Yeah.
So, also, I think we should point something out here. This movie's so all over the place that it's very clear from many different interviews that a lot was cut from this movie. And I mean a lot was cut. I mean, there are apparently planets, different characters, worlds, parts with the Guardians. A lot of stuff was cut that it was filmed. So I have no idea what that's going to mean, but that also might add to the idea that this movie feels very cobbled together and not all that very smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you get when you just improvise your lines all the time and don't really have a very clear-cut script.
Yeah. You know, I think also with Natalie Portman coming back, like I said, I do like her coming back as Jane. Really makes it. I was surprised they really make me care about her character, something I never really did before. Tessa Thompson, of course, she's back as Valkyrie. Tessa Thompson, always amazing. She's always great. She just seems like she really has a lot of fun playing Valkyrie and playing, you know, that character. And then also she has great chemistry with Chris Hemsworth and, you know, everyone else involved. Also will say kind of with some of these moments in this movie, you could have, I think, had some moments where there could have been a little bit more stakes, where I feel like they could have, you know, they really undercut that moment. You know, some characters who fates that, you know, I won't say too much, but could have gone further with. I'll get into spoiler talk with that, what I mean by that. But yeah, I think you could have gone further with that. Overall, I think some of kind of the biggest issues with this movie is that it doesn't reach the same heights as Ragnarok. I don't think it has that's, you know, as good of humor as there. I think there's not enough Christian Bale's gore. And I think there are a lot of good, you know, kind of dramatic moments that could have been good that are undercut by jokes. But I think when they do bring in the good drama here, you know, with like Jane Foster or, you know, some other characters, I think, you know, when they just play it straight, I think it does work, and it does work well. So overall, I would give it, I think a tune in, just a kind of a basic kind of tune in for me. What about you guys?
Yeah. For me, I'm kind of on the same page as you. I don't think Love and Thunder is as good as Ragnarok was. However, I do think it has a much more interesting turn of its villain with Christian Bale as Gore, even though it's very clear a lot of his stuff is on the cutting room floor. I think this does a better job at not undercutting its dramatic tension with a lot of jokes, and the fact that you made me care about Natalie Portman and Thor as Jane Foster and Thor's relationship after 4 movies, well, 2 movies with that character where I couldn't give a fuck less. That's a feat in itself. I had a lot of fun with this film. I didn't really care about Thor's character until Ragnarok. So I'm probably going to give this a low tune in. I do kind of agree that it is a movie that kind of feels all over the place.
Mm. Yeah. Dusk.
Um, Despite what I'm saying, I do think there are good moments in that. I think the use of colors is something that Taika Waititi is good at. I just think he went a little overboard on some many aspects on this stuff he introduces into the in the gods and Nana City and the goats and all that. That's all neat little Norse mythology things. That's nice to see. Sif comes back for a hot second. That's nice to see her again in a movie. Um, I just and even just some of the monochrome areas when you're in area when you're dealing with the God Killer and other aspects of some of the effects
Mm-hmm.
and just even some of the costume designs, pretty cool. And even some of the characters, when they have time to do so, have a little bit of moments here and there where they do get to shine. I just think the package, the sum, it just doesn't match the sum of the parts.
Mm.
The little moments here and there that are pretty good just don't hold a cohesive nature, and it just ends up leaving a lot to be desired, both from a narrative, character, and even just tone advantage. There's so much whiplash in this movie that I was pretty sure I was going to break my neck just
Mm.
between going back between so many different tones.
All right.
So, and die from whiplash. But I can't give this a tune in. I just really can't. If you
Mm.
want to check it out on a matinee or stream it, this movie is a perfect stream it. There's
Mm.
no reason for to go to the theaters for this.
Mm.
Absolutely no reason. If you got a good TV, good surround sound, you just want to chill at home and watch this, by all means, check this out later when it comes out and stream it, or even just now if you can stream it. Going to the theater, paying all that money, getting yourself a popcorn and whatever. I mean, if you like colors, you just like rainbows and crap, that's fine. But if you just want to watch and see the next MCU movie, wait for this to come on home. Don't waste your time going to a movie theater to see this. Even matinee, just stream it.
Mm. Yeah. I will say with this movie as well as like being part of the MCU and going to see it, it's like if you're a person who says like, well, I gotta keep up with all this MCU stuff to follow what's next. It really is mostly contained to Thor and Thor's story and his whole thing going on. Like, it's not a situation like with Doctor Strange 2 where okay, you got to bring in Wanda and you got to understand WandaVision and you're bringing in America Chavez because you're setting up America Chavez to be in Young Avengers or whatever they're going to do with her, and all this other stuff. Like, it really is contained to Thor and the Thor kind of mythos and all that other stuff. And then even, of course, there's two stingers with this. That they do with these movies. Even the mid-credit stinger, it's not like setting up something totally different. It's setting up another Thor movie. I'll leave it at that. Like, it's setting up another kind of Thor movie. We'll get into it in spoilers. But probably tomorrow or something like that, we'll get into it. But yeah, it's setting up that. And then there's the after-credit stinger, which is... That's one, if you really want to stay for it, it's nothing. It really doesn't probably set up anything. But yeah. So, and, as far as like, if you are a person who, if you didn't like Ragnarok, then you're probably not going to like this because it's the same kind of tone. But I have seen people who say they loved Ragnarok and then they were really disappointed by this and they thought it was too much comedy in it. Even though Ragnarok, I think, is also a straight comedy. There's some people who said like, yeah, I love Ragnarok, but I just thought this was just too much. So it depends. You got to see it for yourself, maybe, to kind of get your own feeling about it. Yeah. But I thought it had some really good elements in it. I thought it, had some good elements, stuff like I mentioned before, with some of the characters, some of the humor, and then the new additions I thought were pretty good. But it doesn't. It's not anything amazing, I don't think. And Chris Hemsworth, as far as the Thor character and what they've done with him, yeah, I mean, I've never, like I said, I think, I never was really big on his characterization in the first Thor or the second Thor movie. So Ragnarok onward, I've kind of liked that different, change they've made, and kind of with his character. And yeah. So those are my thoughts on Thor Love and Thunder. Those are our thoughts on that. All right. Did you guys want to do a spoiler talk right now, or did you? Because I know Nikki's coming on tomorrow. Dusk, he's not going to be on tomorrow. Did you guys kind of want to do a spoiler talk?
I mean,
I can
y'all can
hold
wait
off
till
until
next.
tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys can wait.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna say many nice things.
Okay. All right. Thor. That was our Thor Love and Thunder review. I'm gonna be moving on. What do you guys want to do? You want to do the boys or you want to do Kenobi?
Let's get the vegetables out of the way first.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna be getting into Kenobi. So Kenobi. That was the Star Wars Disney Plus series based on the character Obi-Wan Kenobi, longtime legacy character for the Star Wars franchise. You know, it is exploring what Kenobi was doing those 9 years in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Ewan McGregor has returned as the Obi-Wan Kenobi character, as well as Hayden Christensen, who comes back as Anakin Skywalker and also known as Darth Vader. You also have some other returning members as well. Joe Edgerton, who's come back as Owen. You know, it's pretty cool that they did bring back Joe Edgerton. Was like, hey, I'll take another check from Star Wars. Yeah, why not? Because he's become a very, very big actor himself. And
yeah, he's had a great career since Star Wars. A great actor himself and a fantastic director in his own right.
yeah, his movie, what was it called? The Gift. I love a lot. I think that movie's great.
Yeah, The Gift is brilliant, and his other film, Boy Erased, is also really good.
Yeah. So I believe we left off on episode 4. Episode 4, which we pretty much thought was the worst episode of the series. So we're going to be, you know, if you guys want to check out those reviews are up on YouTube. We have episodes 1 through 4 up on YouTube right now if you guys want to check those out.
Yeah, and I'm guessing in that fan 2.5 hour cut, most of it is cut out of episode 4.
Yeah. As we
So
as we mentioned before, somebody took this series, which was collectively, I think, was 4.5 hours. These entire 6 episodes.
6 episodes stretched out to 4.5 hours, and they cut 2 hours out of it.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see that cut. There was a fan who did that, who cut it down. I'm interested to kind of see that cut and see what they do with that. You know, Kenobi had its finale a couple weeks ago, or was it? Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I believe Kenobi had its finale there with episode 6. Overall thoughts of the series, I just think it's just fine. You know, I don't hate the series. I think I think it's better than what they did with Book of Boba Fett. I did like, you know, a lot of the moments Ewan McGregor had in this series where he just was talking and he just was really exploring the character. Something that he really didn't get to do in the prequels. And I think that is very, very much. I think that is very, very much handled better here than in the prequels. His character, and I do like his relationship with Leia. The young actress who plays Leia, I think she does a very good job as Leia. There's some moments where I thought they just tried to fit her in moments where I just think that she didn't need to be fit into. Like, you know, even rescuing her twice, I thought was much, and then I thought she was the one that fixed the. She was fixing the shields or the gate or whatever. I thought that was a little much, but and then also Disney's continuing this trend of pairing up the young child with the grizzled warrior thing. That's kind of like you see it in Mando. You even kind of saw it a little bit in the Book of Boba Fett. We had the young street gang or whatever. So they continue that kind of trend here. But I did like Ewan McGregor. I mean, he can act off of anyone. I mean, I think he can bounce. I mean, he's just that great of a talent. Yeah.
He basically made 3 movies acting opposite nothing.
Yeah. So I thought, he still got that great talent and great ability. And, even with the kind of these inclusion of the Inquisitors, basically the stuff was already kind of out there about Reva already, about her whole backstory, about her being a youngling. When they got to get more into her backstory, especially like in episode 5, I thought they just didn't do enough good stuff with that, because I think that backstory is very interesting, of getting into because it's kind of like almost, I don't want to, maybe be insensitive by using this comparison, but kind of like, this PTSD from kind of like this almost school shooter as, kind of PTSD that you would have from the situation, her being a part of Order 66 as a youngling, and then, now that she's kind of grown up, and kind of carrying that with her. And I think her motivation throughout it, I think I see it as, because some people were kind of, I think, confused about it, about saying like, okay, she wants revenge on Darth Vader for what he did in Order 66, but she's also working to become Inquisitor, and getting close to him, and also trying to rise through the ranks. I think I saw it more.
Yes. So like her revenge plot to kill Darth Vader for murdering Jedi is going throughout the galaxy and murdering other Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it from me.
I thought that could have been an interesting plot thread where you could like tell this morality tale about, okay, you're after revenge, but where do you draw the line? And you could have done something really interesting with that character. And I think Moses Ingram, for what she's given, she's doing a good job, especially in the last 2 episodes. I just feel like we don't spend enough time with Reva in order to make those moments work.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, I saw it as that she's a person who's angry at the Jedi for basically them failing at not protecting, the younglings, and not being there for them. And also the fact that it was a Jedi who carried out Order 66. I mean, a Jedi was the main one that was doing what, was doing, killing younglings, especially a Jedi like Anakin Skywalker, who was probably the most trusted and respected Jedi at a...
Yeah, at the time, Anakin was a war hero.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Legends was told of probably Anakin Skywalker, of what he did, and all these in the Clone Wars and everything like that. So I think, that wasn't just expressed properly, I don't think, in a lot of moments. Because you see, like, when I think it was in the first episode, when she's talking to the townspeople, where she's kind of going around of, like, why are you protecting the Jedi? They failed you. Why are you doing this? And I think that speaks to a little bit about her and her character, of her, feeling that same way of the Jedi. Their job was supposed to be to protect the Republic, to protect people, and they failed. I mean, Jedi, they had a 3-1 lead and they fucked it up terribly, you know what I mean? So I think that speaks a little to that. And then also the stuff of trying to get revenge on Darth Vader, of waiting for the best moment. I don't understand why you thought that was the best moment to strike, when he probably spends half his time in a bath tank. You know what I mean? Just soaking in there. Like, you could have walked in there and tripped a cord or something like that. Like, I don't know why you thought that was the best time to do it in episode 5.
Just unplug something and say, "Oh shit, I was trying to charge my phone."
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you walk in there, you accidentally knock over a cord, trip over something, you in the hospital, like, when that happens all the time. Like, do something like that. Like, I don't know why you thought that was...
I feel like a janitor may have accidentally almost killed Darth Vader.
Yeah, he's trying to clean up and accidentally, takes a cord out, alarms start going off, like...
Spills a mop bucket on some like electrical outlet.
Yeah, I just thought that was ridiculous, of like, that was her moment to strike. But that sequence between her and him, I mean, he's just so much better than her. And like I said, I think they've done a good job.
He doesn't even give her the respect of stabbing her with his lightsaber.
He doesn't even...
And that's something that works really well about the show. Is, say what you will about Disney and Star Wars, they get Darth Vader.
They do.
He's been consistently great in every appearance that he has had since Disney bought him.
Yeah, I think we talked about in episode 3. They made Vader a good threat. I mean, also like what they did in Rogue One. And I thought he doesn't even pull out his lightsaber against Reva at all. He doesn't even do that at all. I mean, he's just so much better than her. And also the thing of, like, Star Wars, I mean, it's, when people get hit by lightsabers, they could just come back, I guess, when you want them to, when you get stabbed. I mean, it's like, if the story requires, it's like, sure, they can come back. Why not? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
It is a lightsaber, so it, like, instantly cauterizes any wound possible.
Yeah. Like Darth Maul, you know what I mean? He got just cut in half, but don't worry. He came back, he had tarantula legs for a little bit. Then he had, other robot legs. It's like, yeah, sure. I mean, he got cut in half and fell down a whole chute, but okay, But I like what they did with Darth Maul when they did bring him back in the Clone Wars, and when he was in Rebels, I did like his story. And And then when it came to the ending of this series, me and Dust, we talked about it. It ended pretty much how Dust said it was pretty much going to end. It pretty much did that. Dust, what kind of were your thoughts on these episode 5 and 6, and just the series overall? What were kind of your thoughts?
At the end of the day, it's just okay. You could have not made the series, and you'd have been just as fine as if you either saw it or didn't. What little things they do with Vader or whoever actually ends up, whatever they do, someone understand with Vader or certain characters, they completely break canon completely. Especially by that final episode where Obi-Wan just lets Vader go, and you're like, oh, so you're just gonna let him keep killing millions and billions of lives now. You're just gonna keep doing that, and what later on you're just gonna be like, oh, now it's full circle. Now the circle is complete. Now I am the master. Except that time when I whooped your butt, and then you came and whooped my butt, and it wasn't so. It's like, no, none of this matters. I don't like. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even consider any of this canon. I just think this is just a what if imagination that Disney came up with. And if I might suggest our viewers, if you actually want to see a really good, or at least a pretty good Kenobi story, go read John Jackson Miller's Kenobi. You can buy it on Amazon right now. It was printed in 2014. It's considered all the legends. That's actually a nice small little story about Kenobi that actually cares about canon and actually makes sense. It's like a fun little western that involves Ben Kenobi trying to keep his identity safe and not have to deal with the Tusken Raiders and help the people of Tatooine while he still has to hide his secret identity. So,
I mean, is it even really secret? He kept the same goddamn last name.
I'm going by Star Wars rules, baby. It's Ben Kenobi. Not everyone knows who Obi-Wan Kenobi is as a Jedi, and he's in the Outer Rim. So it doesn't really matter.
He was a goddamn war hero during the Clone Wars.
Look, I'm going by what George Lucas wrote and the stories of what he's wrote. But at least in this, it was at least the book. And you know what? While I was watching the movie, I decided to read the book too. And you know what? I had a lot more fun time reading that book than watching this series. I could just imagine, wow, I wish Disney had just made that. And there would have been less problems. You remember how we talked about the Inquisitor? Yeah, he just shows up.
Yeah.
I actually watched a funny little video about it. There was like 5 seconds. The Inquisitor's like, hello, and then just cuts to him saying, goodbye, and then walks away. I'm like, for how long he's really there to explain anything? You're like, yeah, might as well, really, man. Reva is a non-character. I could give so less of a crap by the way they handle her by the end of, oh, now that you've forgiven your hate, shut up. Just shut up. You haven't earned any of that. You haven't deserved any of that. You're not a character worth spending time on. And it doesn't matter what your gender or race is. It doesn't matter. You could have been any other person, any other race, whatever. It's the fact that you as a character are not well developed. And your motivations aren't really well developed. And I don't think you have earned your own series or whatever. And I don't think this series deserves a season 2. Just leave it as it is, and then forget it. Watch it, maybe have a good time, I guess, if you want to see it. Do or don't, really. It doesn't really matter. This is kind of like a
Yeah. After episode 4, which I was very disappointed by, episode 5, episode 6, I do think are much better than episode 4. I don't think they're amazing per se, but I think they're definitely better than episode 4 was. Episode 5, I do like the kind of them going back and forth between doing the flashback and then during the invasion that they were doing on the ground at the rebel base. And I was watching a video, and then somebody was saying how each of these episodes are like mirrors of the trilogy. Of like episode 5 is supposed to mirror like Empire and how the invasion of the rebel base, and then I feel
like that's a bit of a reach.
Okay. Well, like somebody said, like it was kind of like I saw that. I think it was Screen Crush. I think I saw that where somebody said it was kind of like all these different episodes of mirrors of like the different movies in the Star Wars universe. And when they do kind of the cut back and forth between the flashback, I thought was pretty good. I don't understand in that flashback why were they using real lightsabers? Like that seems kind of dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, what if somebody accidentally cuts your head off? Like, you don't have like any like regular like kind of like wooden sticks or something like that. Like even samurais, they didn't train with like I mean they practiced with wooden sticks. Like they didn't use samurai swords all the
If
time.
they die, they die.
Yeah, I was like that seems very dangerous, especially how as crazy as fucking Anakin is. You know what I mean? But yeah, but I did like that, and I did like. It seems like they didn't really do any really de aging really for Hayden Christensen, or much. I mean, Ewan McGregor. I mean, that dude is just. I mean, he's forever young. So especially with the beard, he's got the Jesus beard and everything. So, yeah, he's pretty much forever young with that look. And yeah, I did kind of like that. I think when they do the kind of whole invasion of the whole rebel base, it like dust to dust point. I think we were talking about it in an episode. I think this was 2. Some of the set designs, some of the set stuff does look kind of small scale.
Oh, it's atrocious.
And they do look kind of very cheap. Like especially with the rebel base stuff, like that just looks so like such a small location and everything like that.
You can see the budget.
Yeah,
you can see it.
Yeah, so I was
not what you want to do.
Yeah. So I don't know how much money they put into this series, or per episode, but it's just like it just doesn't seem
not
like
enough.
Just doesn't seem like they had to maybe a lot to work with. And with the character dying, the I forgot her character's name, but the woman from Game of Thrones, when her character kind of died, not a lot of good emotional moments there. I don't think it was a big emotional impact, because her character is just like
I also called that.
It's like, oh no, that girl I just met like 3 days ago.
Yeah, I also called that moment.
Yeah, that doesn't really have a lot of big impact there. With that character.
Nope.
If you introduced her earlier, and it kind of did some more stuff, maybe that would have had a bit more of an impact. But yeah, I don't think that was that wasn't really a big moment there. O'Shea Jackson being kind of more in the show. You see him kind of in the other episodes, in the last couple episodes here. I thought he's pretty good. I like O'Shea Jackson. I think he's a very good actor. Like when he was in Ingrid Goes West, when he was in Straight Outta Compton. I think he's a pretty good actor himself. He's not just. I don't think he's. I mean, hey, nepotism can be good sometimes. I mean, So.
Hey, it's only nepotism if they're not talented.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I do like him. I did like him in these last few episodes. I could see him kind of coming back for maybe some other Star Wars stuff because they kind of seems like they set him up for that. Camille Nanjiani's character. I thought he was kind of one of the weaker, newer characters that they kind of introduced here. I don't. I mean, it's not that I dislike Camille Nanjiani. I like him. I think he's a funny guy, but here it just feels so kind of out of place here. What'd you kind of guys think about kind of some of the other kind of supporting characters in this that are not the legacy characters?
The supporting cast in this, I think it's like the weakest of one of these Star Wars Disney Plus shows. Nobody here is really that memorable. It's like, even in characters like Mandalorian, people like Cobb Vanth, like the mechanic, I remember who they are, and when they come back, I get a little bit excited. Here,
you get excited for the mechanic?
At least Amy Sedaris is fun.
Okay.
But I'm saying in comparison to these guys, I was just like, oh, you're back.
Yeah. Dusk?
I didn't. No, not really. There weren't a lot of great supporting characters. Maybe we met the Game of Thrones girl before episode 4. Had more time, more development, and she was along with him on the journey. Again, just the whole premise itself kind of falls apart the moment it even starts. But hey, if you're going with let's just do a what if, sure, whatever. But even by its own constraints, even by its own narrative, its side characters aren't that great. And yeah, you're right, Kamal. He's fine. He's a fine enough actor. But I felt that even that one episode appearance, I'm like, okay, I don't need to see you again. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's like if you're trying to, because I feel like what this show is doing, it's trying to bridge a gap between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So Kumail is kind of like supposed to be that Han Solo type that Obi-Wan already knows that Han Solo is full of shit when he meets him.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know. I
I
mean,
know.
you
I
know, if
didn't.
he even fit that, he's pretty. I wouldn't even say
It's
that.
it's
I
like
didn't get that
I'm
feel.
trying to connect dots where that might not be there.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
feel that.
I didn't think. I thought he was just a complete con artist who wasn't even worth the time of day, and then he just happened
Yeah.
to do something nice because what the plot needed him to.
Yeah,
Hmm.
he's the well. I mean, that's typical Star Wars. The bad guy with the heart of gold. I mean, that's typically.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
that actually does not. I mean, with Han, it made sort of sense. It made actual somewhat sense. I'm not saying it's great, but at least it made some sense. And he spent enough time with the character along the journey that when he did make that heel turn, there were at least moments. We don't have enough time to do any of that. And this story is so simple. I don't even know why you would do that and not have a completely different turn.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a 5 out of 10. It's like a 4 or 5 out of 10 series. See it or don't. If you don't watch it, that's fine. But if you actually want to see something or listen to something that's a similar quality to Kenobi, go check out Kenobi by John Jackson Miller on Amazon.com or any local bookstore that you want to show up. You can also buy the audiobook if you want. You'll have just as much time, and it'll probably be less time involved to watching this series.
yeah. With this being 6 episodes, I think this is kind of one time. It's like some people talk about the 6 episode format of being too short and not enough time to tell a
Hmm.
story. I think with this story, I don't think you really needed 6 episodes. You probably could have done a little 2 hour movie, and it probably
Agree.
would have wrapped up a lot of the stuff. I don't think.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, and somebody brought this point up when talking about this show with some of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. It's like the problem with them is that the series aren't structured as television series. The story is constructed as a 2-hour film that is being stretched out to 6 episodes,
Yes.
which does not work. Versus
no.
something like The Boys, where that is very clearly that is very clearly designed to be episodic television.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of this, you could have maybe wrapped up in a little kind of short 2 hour movie.
Mhm.
Some of the stuff I think was
But
good. Oh, yes.
yeah, and all of the stuff that works for me is the stuff between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, especially in the final episode. That scene is the best moment of the entire series.
Hmm.
The entire scene where it's like the aftermath of their big lightsaber fight, and it's just the two of them talking.
Yeah.
And you
Um,
get some great acting from both Ewan McGregor and from Hayden Christensen.
yeah. From from what I can tell, Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, they really have liked coming back and doing this again.
Mhm.
They like returning to these characters. Like playing these characters. I think if people were kind of wondering like, what is Hayden Christensen really gonna do? The fact that Darth Vader, well, he's mostly in the suit now that he's Darth Vader. How is he really gonna appear much in this series? And I think the times he did, where you really see him, I think he did a very good job. In the final episode, they do have the final big duel, which of course people, like Dust said, everybody knows they were going to have the big final duel, especially after episode, I think it was 3.
Great.
Uh,
Mhm.
where they did have their duel. Like you got to have it where Obi-Wan bests him again and wins it. So and then again it ended, when his mask got cut off again, like we said, what would happen, and then which they already did that in Rebels, where it was Ahsoka
Yep.
versus Vader.
Mhm.
They did that in Rebels. And that was a great moment, I think, between Vader and between Kenobi, and just the acting between the both of those, and Ewan McGregor, the look on his face of just like, damn, I really failed. I mean, this was a big, kind of L for me, and
Yeah,
I was,
and how it used color with the contrasting colors of the lightsabers. That was beautifully done.
yeah. Even though I think some of the shooting of the lightsaber battle in the end was a little wonky, I
Mhm.
like the cameraman
Yeah,
is like, yeah,
yeah, I think there was an issue where they didn't get that big of a stunt team behind it, so it was mostly Ewan and Hayden doing it themselves, from what
ah,
I could tell.
okay. Hmm. I mean, they did a good job, I think, with the choreography of it. It's just, I think some of the look of it and then, the camera work of it was a little wonky. It's like even the cameraman, I mean, I think even he was kind of maybe getting into it. It's like, oh shit, it's Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader again. Oh shit, let me get all up in it. Let me swirl around. Let me get all close to it. Oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt like, yeah, this was just, yeah, I kind of, it just kind of threw me off a little bit of it, of the way they were shooting it was really weird to me. Yeah, and even like some of the returning kind of, even like with the smaller characters, even returning with the like Owen Lars, like Owen and what's it, Aunt Beru. I thought they were good.
Oh, the reveal that they are 100% about that life.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they live in the country.
Stay strapped, get clapped.
I mean, hey, they live in the country. They got the guns, and they came out, and I thought that was a good moment. I think it made you a little bit, again, adds a little bit more context to the relationship of how they felt about kind of Luke and everything like that. Of like they really looked at Luke like their own kid, and I thought that was really good. Yeah, I mean, I think the legacy characters who came back at playing their parts did a very good job. I think a lot of the newer additions, I think there's not really, I don't think, a newer addition on the show that was like, wow, that person was really memorable, or like, man, I'd love to see them continued on. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. Yeah. So for me, I just thought this series it's just fine. I mean, it's not spectacular or anything like that. I think it had some really great moments in it. Like the stuff with Ewan, the stuff with Hayden, the two lightsaber battles, like when he was, like in episode 3 and then in episode 6, I thought were well done. I thought were very effective. Even the little moments, dialogue moments where just Ewan McGregor's just sitting thinking, like when he's like working in the butcher place, or when he's just in his cave, or even like the little dialogue moments when he's talking to Leia. I think those work very, very well. It's just as a package as a whole, I think this is not very strong, and not that good. But yeah, for me, I would give it a low stream it for me. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I agree wholeheartedly. I think that this is a show that Disney should look at and really reconsider having all of these series be 6 episodes. Because this is something that really could have done everything good that works about it, and you could have done it in a 2 to 2.5 hour film. All the stuff between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, all of that stuff is excellent. But this, like Dusk was saying about Thor Love and Thunder, this doesn't rise above the sum of its parts. And some of this is just okay. This is just pretty meh as a whole. It's a low stream it, but because of Ewan McGregor's performance, this is a stream it. It's bordering on skip it.
Yeah. Shit, because I love Kenobi. Kenobi is my favorite Star Wars character. Really want to love it a lot. I think the Andor show, which is about the character from Rogue One, I think his series is like 9 episodes, I think. I want to say. I want to say his episode length is much longer. But from the trailer of that show, it looks like they're putting good money into that show. It seems like the look of the trailer for that one. But yeah, I would just kind of give it a low stream for myself. And Nick is also with a low stream it as well. Dust came in with a 5 out of 10, which is, I guess,
it's a
skip it.
It is it's on the border between skip it and stream it, and I only think it's almost like I'm in the middle. I'm in the go find your favorite parts on YouTube with no context and just watch that.
Yeah.
You don't even watch the whole thing. You can just watch that. So technically it's a stream it, but it's like a skip it. You could skip the series, just watch that in the middle. Yeah. It's just a 5 out of 10, borders on 4 out of 10, but saves itself because goddamn Ewan McGregor is just carrying that on his shoulders. He's just carrying it, and I feel so bad. He must have a lot of chiropractic issues.
And
Ewan Hayden Christensen at the very end, but he doesn't come way later.
Well, he was also in episode 5 too, and then Yeah.
like the 2/3 in to something.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, whether or not I want a season two, I just don't know story wise really what you
There's
could.
nothing else for them to do.
Because I wouldn't like to see them bring back Darth Vader. I think that's done. I don't want to see him bring back Darth Vader, have him fight him again, or interact with
No,
him.
he's gonna fight him 4 more times. He's gonna fight him on Mustafar again. They're gonna have Obi-Wan's gonna have his shirt off. He's gonna be greased up for some reason. He's gonna be fighting him just so he can glisten and show off that he's gotten abs now.
Oh,
That even though Ian McGregor still got it,
this is your
and
personal
he's gonna be
fan
fighting
fiction,
him.
huh?
Exact. No,
What you be
at
writing
this
in
point,
your diary?
It's all. I mean, all of this is fan fiction. None of this matters.
Yeah.
None of this matters. So
Right.
yeah, like no. And then he's gonna fly his and then later on he's gonna fly in space, and Darth Vader's gonna just be flying the TIE fighter with the Force because he's done it already, and he's gonna put blaster in one hand and the saber in the other. He's gonna be fighting the whole Rebel army all by himself. I mean, why not? Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah. Yes, I just don't know story wise what you could really do with a season two, and what you could really interact with there. But I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know about that. I think you could improve upon a lot of elements if you do a season two, bigger budget, and just with more interesting supporting characters, maybe longer episode length if you have a story that requires it. If not, maybe just do kind of a shorter 2-hour movie. Yeah. Some people are talking about maybe they would want a Vader series. I don't want a Vader series. I don't think that's necessary.
It really isn't. You could do something animated where you basically do adapt Marvel's Darth Vader comic, which is legitimately great.
Yeah, maybe you could do something like that. Yeah, maybe you could do that. In a situation like that, because I know some of the Darth Vader comics are pretty good. I've heard they are very, very good. So yeah, that was Kenobi. Our review of that. All right, so moving on from Kenobi, going to be discussing The Boys. The Boys final episode premiered today. Wow, that seemed like it went fast. I mean, those episodes, I guess because we got the first 3 episodes right off the bat.
That's kind of how it goes with Amazon shows. I feel like is this and Invincible the only ones doing that on that network?
I think so.
I think so, because I think stuff like Reacher dropped all at once. I think other shows do it all at once, but they know that this is a hit, so
yeah, they're gonna make you wait. Yeah, wait it out, and I think it's great to really watch it week to week. It's something to look forward to week to week. It's like, hey, the boys is out. Let's go watch it. In this 3rd season of The Boys, we reviewed up till I think it was 4 or 5 that we did before we were gone. Those reviews are also on YouTube if you guys want to check it out. Our thoughts on those episodes, because we were reviewing it weekly along with kind of like other series like Kenobi and everything like that. In this season, you have it where the boys are trying to really concoct a plan to finally kill Homelander. Homelander, who seems like is going further and further off the deep end. And as we talked about in the series, Anthony Starr is doing an amazing job as Homelander. Probably one of the best villains on TV right now. Just everything about him, it's always great to watch the show because every scene you really just don't know who's gonna make it out. You know what I mean? Even some of the main characters, it's like, is this person gonna go? Is this person gonna go? That tension that is there always when he's on screen is great and is really amazing. So in this season, it kind of deals with a lot of them trying to find a solution to Homelander, finally trying to find a weapon to kill him. That weapon may be in the form of Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, who is a new addition to the cast this season, is played by Jason Eccles. Jason Eccles, who's worked with Eric Kripke before, notably on the Supernatural series. Which I was the first aware of Jason Eccles. Who I thought did a very, very great job on that series. Supernatural, if you have never checked it out, I recommend it. Stop after season 5. Don't watch till season 35. Just stop right there at season 5.
Yeah, it's like the first 5 seasons of Supernatural. They're very focused on Sam and Jared Padalecki's character. But after that, the show becomes much more focused on Dean, who's played by Jensen Ackles, I guess because the writers realized that, one, Dean's a much more interesting character than Sam, and Jensen's a far better actor.
Yeah, yeah. So if you guys want to check that out, I recommend, if this is your first time seeing Jensen Ackles in The Boys, I recommend his other work like Supernatural. So here he plays Soldier Boy, who is a Captain America kind of parody that you see. He was part of a team back in the day called Payback, which Payback is essentially the Avengers parody, much how like the Dawn, the Seven, are parody of the Justice League from DC Comics. And Soldier Boy, from in this show, kind of how much of this show is not very much close to, is not close at all probably to the comic representation. From what I know about the comic representation, the comic version of Soldier Boy, he is nothing like how this character is in the show. Soldier Boy in the comics,
the Soldier Boy of the show would fold the Soldier Boy in the comic like a pretzel.
Yeah, very much so. Because in the comics, Soldier Boy is very much like a mantle that kind of gets passed down from person to person. Here, it's always been one person.
The comics Soldier Boy is a legacy title. It's like there have been 3. 2 of them die horrifically. The one that's introduced in the Herogasm story of the Boys is basically Ted Cruz with superpowers.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's been described.
He's also a sniveling little, in the sense that he is a sniveling little bitch boy, much like Ted Cruz.
Yeah. So you kind of have that. And a lot of people have been also, remarking about how this show is so heavily different from the comics and how happy they are with that. And a lot of people are surprised about how the comic, how edgelordy it is, how it's become, how it adapted to be one of the best shows on all of TV, which is very, very surprising to a lot of people. And with this season, I think it continues the strong nature of The Boys. I think, so far, I don't think it's had a bad season. In regards to where does this season rank amongst the other seasons, it's tough to say because I'd have to probably go back and really rewatch all the seasons again. I don't want to have recency bias to go like, well, this was the best season. But I thought, again, The Boys really does a lot of great stuff here and leaves you wanting to see a season 4. I think after this season, it just comes to like, okay, how long could you continue this, and how far can we really go with these type of character dynamics? 1 more season, 2 more seasons. Typically I'm a guy that goes like, a show really kind of shouldn't really go past 5 seasons because I think you could get all the material there.
I'd argue 4.
4.
4 is peak.
I'd say like 4 to 6 seasons at most.
Okay.
6 is really pushing it.
4 to 6 if you're being generous.
Yeah. 4 is peak. End it there. 5 if you really have enough material to push it to 5, but don't push it further than that.
But with this, I think Eric Kripke is writing this show with the definitive end in mind. Especially without before we get into spoilers, the way this season ends, there is an end date for the show. It might be next season, it might be the season after that. We don't know.
Yeah. Eric Kripke does come into a show with a plan, like he did with Supernatural. He had his plan for that show, and he did what he did and he left. So it could be the same situation here with The Boys, where he is coming to this with a plan, and a perfect conclusion he wants to come here. What were kind of your guys' thoughts on season 3 of The Boys? Favorite moments, any least favorite moments, everything like that.
So for me, The Boys comic is not good at all. And it's not good. It is essentially Garth Ennis punishing himself and his audience for ever liking any aspect of the superhero genre. And it is very just like edgelordy, frat boy with a Fight Club poster kind of sense of humor. But how he handles this show, up until like the whole like big selling point of the season was episode 6 of this was going to be adapting Hero Gap, which is basically just one big superhero orgy. And the fact that he managed to take that story, adapt it the way he did, and end up making one of the best episodes of the show in terms of how it still plays around with the character dynamics, how it advances every single character's arc. It's masterful television, and it has one of the most satisfying endings out of all of these.
Okay. Dusk.
Um, I agree wholeheartedly with Nick. I've had a problem with the writer who made The Boys and Preacher. He has very interesting ideas, but he seems to hate the field he went into. Really does not like superheroes, and just basically for an entire comics run, punished you for ever liking the superhero mantle. So much so that, ironically, we got one of the best Superman comic runs because of it, who answered equivocally because of The Boys. And that's where we get the famous "What's Wrong with Truth, Justice, and the American Way" from Superman versus the Elites. That actually came out relatively around when The Boys was running. And a lot of people in the comic medium who are people kind of who worked with, that was like the rebuttal, which is, okay, and your point? Ultimately, yeah, you can have Homelander, that's fine. He's just a big, dumb oaf who's a narcissist in your comic series. While Superman the Elites, he fights a gang of misfits and people who abuse their power and want to get things done, and Superman in response.
The Elite, he's essentially fighting the Boys. I mean, there's a lot of overlap in kind of like Manchester Black and Billy Butcher.
Exactly. That's the point. It's supposed to be an overlap, but Superman answers it in the best concise reason why superheroes exist, and why it's important to have dreams and aspirations, and why it's important to believe that humanity is worth time and worth helping each other and doing whatever. It's a beautiful comic, and really accentuates why Superman is so had such longevity as a character and will continue to do so, because he is an inspiring character.
And unequivocally why all of these like modern "what if Superman was evil"
stories doesn't work. Doesn't work. Just from the get-go cannot work, because the character is the personification of hope, and you can't destroy that. Quoting from V for Vendetta, it's more than a symbol, and symbols are bulletproof, and you can't destroy that. But
you like Omni-Man, don't you?
Yeah, I'm sorry?
Well, don't you two like Omni-Man?
We do, but he's less of a Superman. He's less of a Superman parody and more of more of a Vegeta type character.
Yeah, very more. He is superhero. He is equivalent to Superman and only empowers.
There is much more Dragon Ball in Invincible than there is Superman.
Yeah, it really is its own thing. But the reason I brought up, and I agree with Nick on that, is just like the TV show Preacher that was released on AMC, they've taken a piece of work that didn't quite work in the comic, but was a neat idea, and then found a way to take all those ideas and really, really embellish on them and make them better.
And
really work with them.
And like the main reason that The Boys show works so well is they add this little thing. I don't know if you guys heard of it. I'm pretty sure Garth Ennis hasn't ever.
Yeah.
Called nuance.
Oh yeah, nuance,
and depth, and allowing all of your antagonists to also be characters in this show.
Yeah.
For as despicable as a character like Homelander and even Soldier Boy to an extent, you get moments with them where you understand. It's something that we talked about, that Josh, you and I talked about during our Euphoria review about like the character Nate Jacobs. You hate this character, but you understand. You're asked to have empathy with them. You're not asked to have sympathy.
Yeah. With this series, I think it's done, kind of from what I know about the comics, a kind of head and shoulders better job than what the comic did. And if you're kind of looking for comic accuracy when it comes to this show, you're not going to get it, because there's tons of different changes. There's tons of different changes they make from the comic that's kind of there. And I think a lot of people have said it's for the better. And I loved a lot what they do. And then with this season kind of coming into it, with the addition of kind of Soldier Boy being this character, I think, the big theme with this season seems like it's men and their relationship to their fathers. That was kind of like, it seems like that was kind of the big theme of this season, because you see the relationship Jason Eccles there, and this is a spoiler review for The Boys season 3. We're going to be doing whole spoilers there. I don't know if we mentioned that at the beginning, but you see kind of the relationship there. Jason Eccles, like when there's in the last episode, Soldier Boy talks about the relationship he had with his father, and we already know the myriad of mother daddy issues that Homelander has, being a guy that was raised in a lab and constantly experimented on.
And we are well aware of Homelander's mommy fetish.
Yeah, we see that there, and we also see Stan Edgar bring that up, where he says, you looking for approval, like I'm your daddy. Yeah,
it's like Giancarlo. He has so many moments. He, as an actor, I feel like he gets typecast as Gus Fring types a lot, but his moments where he just shits on Homelander always make me laugh. It's like, where a little respect, where would even go besides that bottomless pit of insecurity you call a soul?
Yeah, but there's also great little scenes with Homelander that one of my favorites, and I mean, if he's not nominated for something, that scene where he's talking to himself in the mirror is absolutely chilling.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful, and everything when he's talking about it, you just see, you are what you made them, guys, and and he's starting to let go of his leash. He's starting to pull it off of his neck. I don't know how much more shit Edgar can keep talking him, because it's not going to end up like the comics where nothing happens to Edgar. That's not the same Homelander. He's not an idiot like he is in this show. This show, he's actually smart.
Yeah, and something that is so well done is that dynamic between Edgar and Homelander. Is that Edgar knows that Homelander can just murder the shit out of him at any moment. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Edgar's. It's also interesting because when you really break it down, Homelander so desperately wants to be loved and desired, or at least just be respected and desired by somebody. He keeps looking for it, and now that it's starting to come to go ahead, he's starting to make that realization that he's just like, well, maybe if I just remove that part of myself, I can be truly unstoppable. Do I really need approval from anyone?
Yeah, but that's like the chilling part of the very last scene of the episode.
It is.
That's what makes that so terrifying. Because I don't know if we want to give it away now.
No, not now. We're gonna wait till we get there.
Yeah, I think this finale isn't as strong as season 2's is, but the threads that it sets up for season 4 are beautifully terrifying.
Yeah. So a lot of big kind of moments with this season. Like I said, they're trying to look for a way. They're trying to use the boys. They're trying to use Soldier Boy as a weapon to kill Homelander. But it's a little tit for tat, because in order for Soldier Boy for him to kill Homelander, they're also helping him hunt down members of his old team Payback. Because you see him kind of going around and kind of hunting old members of his team. You also kind of see, I think this season, now that's in season 3, you see a lot more moments with the other boys members, like with Mother's Milk, who I think was really his season this season out of the boys members. I think he really got a lot of great stuff to do this season.
Same. I think if it's something that this show has improved drastically since season 2 was giving more character beats to the other members of the boys. Like Laz Alonso, he's phenomenal in this season. Karen Fukuhara as Kimiko, she gets so much more depth. And also, one of the greatest performances in a comic book show without a single line of spoken dialogue.
I think they do a lot more stuff with the other boys members here. And like we talked about, like a lot of father issues you see with, Mother's Milk is haunted by the murder of his family, by Soldier Boy, and how that trauma is carrying over into now with his daughter and then his relationship with his child. You kind of see that of his constant need to, for revenge against Soldier Boy. But yeah, I think a lot of great stuff with him this season. The stuff with Frenchie and his storyline with Little Nina, I just was never that into it. I was never that interested in it. I think it kind of I don't think it really goes anywhere except for maybe, well, I guess the point of that storyline was to set up, Frenchie being a little bit more independent away from, people telling him what to do. And then the stuff with Kimiko was just like her realizing that the powers aren't what make her, a monster. Maybe she kind of was always had a little bit of that inside her, but the powers help her defend the people that she loves, and most importantly, it helps her defend Frenchie, for instance, a person that she cares about and loves. And
and speaking of like what you were saying about how like the main theme of this season is fathers and daddies. Speaking of Jensen Ackles, but it's also a little bit elements of touching on the big theme of 2022, generational trauma.
Yeah, generational trauma, baby. Add it to the list.
Generational trauma, baby.
Yeah.
And just talking about Laz Alonso's Mother's Milk, his arc, you get an entire episode where you flash back to Butcher's childhood and the abuse that he faced with his father, who appeared briefly in season 2, played by John Noble.
Yeah.
And a whole reason why Butcher's arc takes the turn that it does with Huey.
Yeah. Yeah. Dusk. What's kind of your opinion?
Yeah, I think a lot of characters get a little bit more time to shine the way they should. Specifically, Mother's Milk. Yeah, he finally gets just some moment to have a character in this, and they've done a lot better at getting characters to have little moments here and just kind of bring out character details, which is nice to see overall. Especially characters that we get final reveals on, like characters like Noir or a couple of others, where, they are very different. This season, if the other seasons were a change, differentiating, a little bit different from the comics, season 3 feels the most different from the comics. Like,
they completely changed Black Noir from the comics. They also, in this season especially, they take more stylistic chances.
Oh yeah.
Like there was an entire like musical sequence here, I think in episode 5, that I thought was pretty well done.
Yeah.
And even in episode 7 with I don't want to give away the context, but there's an entire animated sequence in here that is brilliantly done. With any other show, they would have just felt like we did this because we wanted to. And they are doing that here, but they're also beats used to advance characters and their arcs.
I don't know really how much more I can really go into this without going into specifics, but I will say this. If you didn't like season 2, and I can understand if people didn't, if you weren't a fan of the show, season 2, maybe you liked season 1 and then thought season 2 fell off a bit, season 3 comes back. It rights the ship, and it starts going into better waters. And really, I can't see the series going any more than to season 4, 5 if you really push it. But I think if you're going to get back on board, now's the time. I think it's all right. If you haven't even watched The Boys at all, which is okay, totally cool if you hadn't even bothered, I think now would be a good time to hop on. I think you have enough stuff that you can get a fuller context of what's going on and kind of get ready for it to be finished off. I say with a heavy hope that they don't cock it up like they did Game of Thrones, and I end up regretting these words. But if you want to check it out, now's the time, I think.
Yeah.
Well, there's also like if you're gonna compare this to something like Game of Thrones, one, the source material is already done, so there's no need for like Eric Kripke and co to like spin their wheels after they run out of book material. And two, the show has already like drastically improved the quality over the books.
Yeah. The other characters here, Huey, this season, I still like his character. I think they still did some good stuff with him. I did like his stuff with Starlight. And like I said, kind of a good theme of, like the season, generational trauma, fatherhood, boys and their fathers.
Toxic masculinity, especially in
and
his dynamic with Butcher and Soldier Boy.
Yeah. And even kind of looking up to kind of guys like Huey from his perspective, looking at guys like Butcher and Soldier Boy to even some degree. But then realizing a lot of that stuff with Soldier Boy is bullshit. Him being this macho tough guy. He never did D-Day. He never stormed the beaches of Normandy. He never did any of that shit. He came in there for a photo shoot. It's like
little target practice at Kent State. Had a firing hose in Birmingham.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's like kind of all that kind of stuff is bullshit.
Which is weird, though, because he's actually really good at fighting.
I guess there wouldn't be any harm in him actually storming anything because he can't get hurt. I mean, it's a character that can't, really physically get hurt at all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He feels like a better parody of what Captain America should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going to do a parody of Captain America, you take what are the negative aspects that could have been from nationalism and patriotism and really turn up the negative bad aspects, and you get Soldier Boy, someone who's an egotistical, narcissistical, patriotic, nationalist piece of crap who only cares about his own self-interest and how he's represented in film and his reputation, and doesn't let anyone else stand alongside him in any equal measure.
Yeah.
And then you give that guy superpowers, and you see what happens. Captain America is like the idealized what we hope we can kind of get with a kind of person like that. He's what a good person who's given all those opportunities becomes.
Mm-hmm.
And Soldier Boy is what would have happened if someone who was a bad guy or bad at heart was given the opportunity.
He's basically the what if the bully from the first Avengers got the super soldier.
Exactly. And this is what you get. And if you're horrified by it, you're making that guy's point. You should be, and this is making the scientist's point.
Yeah. And there is that great scene where they do like when he wakes up and gets out into the world after being trapped there for 40 years. It's like the reaction that we expect Captain America to have when he woke up. It's like because he's kind of looking around, he's kind of going like, "What the fuck?" Like dudes holding hands.
Like sees two gay.
Yeah, it's like
It was like sees like a dad on a commercial with like, baby carriers. It was like. Hey, Bill Cosby was America's dad, and he wouldn't be caught dead in that pussy gear.
Yeah.
And he used to make some strong drinks.
Yeah. I guess in the boys' universe, Bill Cosby made even such strong drinks it could knock out a person who had superpowers. It could affect.
You know what? Honestly, that's a double-layered joke, and I appreciate it. That was actually a pretty good joke. That works on many layers, and I appreciated that one.
Yeah, it's like which speaking of the show, it does balance the action, its horror elements, and its comedy beats work so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stuff with Huey, I think this season was a good. I don't think he's as strong as he's been in probably past seasons. I don't think. I think because they're exploring more of the other boys members.
I think Huey's arc might be one of the weaker of the season. Because it doesn't really come to a point up until the last episode where he does have that moment with Starlight where he kind of unpacks everything. And that's where I thought it works really well.
Yeah.
And possibly revisiting the season with that ending in mind might shift my opinion on his arc.
Yeah. I kind of some other, I think, kind of weaker elements this season. The reason why I don't think you could really is like how far can this show go is like stuff with the deep. I think he's pathetic again here as he was in past seasons. He's always been a pathetic, sniveling little character, and he's good for a good comedic moments where they even parody Gal Gadot's Imagine video. That's in here. That's funny. Like how they always bring in other real life pop culture stuff into this show.
Even included Black Noir with cue cards.
Yeah, I thought that was a good moment. They strike those moments really beautifully in the show. It's just that, besides for him being a joke and like a sniveling coward and somebody who's pathetic, it's just like, okay. I mean, and he also, there's a joke of him fucking the fish. It's like, okay. I mean, where else can we really go with this?
He is kind of a one-note joke, and he is possibly the weakest one in this season.
Yeah.
But that's also contrasted with A-Train, who actually takes an interesting turn.
Yeah, this season you saw with A-Train. Well, Dust, let me get your thoughts. What do you think about kind of the deep this season?
The Deep is like a one note character. He started off with two notes, and then as the series has gone on, they demoted him to one note and focused on other things.
Mhm.
And then with this season, they tried to give him like a little bit of a note back, but I think the damage is kind of done for his character. That unless something radically happens now, I don't think he'll. I honestly don't think they'll have much of a reason to bring him back unless he does something really stupid, which is possible, really, really possible for
Yeah.
him to really just think he
I mean,
has. Go ahead, go for
yeah,
broke.
yeah. I like I like the Deep. I like the performance that Chase Crawford gives.
Hmm.
It is very one note of just look how pathetic this guy is, but he plays that note really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good performance. I like him. It's just like, okay, I mean, okay, you know what I mean? It's kind of
It's
just like,
weird,
what else he got?
weird thing to say about a sexual predator, but okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, that guy. I mean, and, now that in the show, the seven has become the two,
The three.
yeah, well, I guess if you include Ashley, I guess, uh, you know,
Mhm.
or I don't know if A Train will stick
It's-
around in next season. I don't know.
and that was and speaking of the Deep, that was a really fun dynamic was delved in on of the Deep and Ashley, and just them using their together one brain cell.
Yeah, I mean, just their absolute fear of Homelander. This season
It's like
is
there's a line.
yeah.
It's like, is your idiot brain getting fucked by stupid?
Yeah, I mean,
And it's like there they are, there they are. It's the two of them.
and who's the actress who plays Ashley? I forgot her name.
Oh, Colby Minifie, she is phenomenal on that. I
No.
recognize her mostly from as being the bitchy neighbor from Jessica Jones.
Oh, right, she was in that. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. 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 I mean, she's also very good in this show, and a lot of beats with her work very well. And I think even the ending of this season three, they do kind of a good moment with her that maybe will come in handy later. This and you bring up A Train. So A Train this season, you see kind of at first he's trying to do a thing because the first beginning of the season, if you remember, he has an issue with his heart from taking all that experimental kind of steroid version of Compound V. What was it called? I forgot
No,
the.
he was just shooting out Compound V.
Oh, okay. It was just like he was just taking straight Compound V. Okay.
Mhm.
And that had done all this damage to his heart. Now he can't run anymore. And also gets fat shamed by Homelander. There's a lot of good fat jokes by Homelander here to A Train.
Still see your girdle that you're wearing, you fat fuck.
I can still see your girdle, you disgusting fat fuck. Now get off the fucking stage. Says smiling the entire time he does it.
Which was I thought there was that was that made for some kind of good comedy there and good moments. And then he ends up is like, well, I want to reconnect back with my roots again.
That was hilarious.
And did a whole thing.
Reconnect back to my Africa roots.
A Train goes to Africa. What was it? Yeah, A Train. Yeah, runs to
Oh
Africa.
yeah, A Train to Africa.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't tell if that was like meant to be a dig at Marvel with all of the marketing behind Black Panther.
I think that was definitely a dig at Marvel. I mean, there was a dig at just corporations in general with the
Oh yes,
the Pride, the Disneyland,
Oh.
quote unquote.
yeah, which is such a great visual gag. It's like a LGB turkey legs walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pride lunch, Pride whatever. Yeah.
BLM burgers.
Oh yeah, there's tons of stuff like that in this season. So you kind of have that with him, but he kind of comes into kind of conflict of in. I think a lot of what A Train this season was kind of supposed to also talk about was being kind of a black celebrity, being in a position of power, and how are you going to utilize that power and that influence, and then kind of trying to actually speak out on these issues, but kind of being crushed by this other corporate force who what I mean, doesn't. It's like, yeah, we don't want to ruffle any feathers, but we'll have the person who is brutally murdering people. He'll just give an apology. Is that okay? I mean, he'll just give a good, decent little apology.
Just give a half-assed apology that goes so wrong so fast.
Yeah. Who you have is Blue Hawk here, who A Train comes in contention with, who's a person who's over patrolling black neighborhoods in this. I thought that I think that stuff with him. I think this season was pretty good. I think A Train like Mother's Milk. Like how kind of A Train is amongst the seven. I think the past couple of seasons there really wasn't really much with him there. Besides, okay, he killed kind of Huey's girlfriend, and then he's looked at as like this big asshole kind of guy. I think this season there's a turn with him, especially the moment where he meets Huey at Hero Gasm. And, even though he did fuck up, he did make a mistake. And he hasn't paid for that mistake. I mean, he killed somebody, and he also killed his girlfriend.
Yeah, he killed several people. And
he's killed many people and has paid for nothing, basically.
And even Ashley points that out in dressing him down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, because it happened to you, now you care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I was with her. It's like, bitch, you were covering it up. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Adrian.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but he does look at him in the eyes and just gives a good, he does give
It gives an actual
apology.
A genuine apology, which I was not expecting from what I know about A-Train as a character thus far.
Oh yeah, and also let's also be fair if we're comparing comic. This is going a lot more than he was in the comics. Where in the comics this was way quicker. He did not last as long as he has in this show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I
that's true for a lot of characters.
So I kind of like what they kind of did with him this season, and with the conclusion of him, he ends up killing Blue Hawk, and then they give him his heart, and then now he's able to have his kind of powers again because he has this brand new heart now. But then the fact that he goes back to his brother who's now in the wheelchair because of Blue Hawk going crazy because of his violence. And saying that it's like, well, I didn't want you to kill him. I wanted you to have him face justice for what he did to, know that, so my kids can see that. And how the fact that it's like everything you touch, you just ruin. And, A-Train kind of deserves that. I mean, a lot of these heroes, I mean, he's been very selfish and gotten away with things, killing people, doing terrible, awful things because he can, because, he's a superhero.
Yeah. And even when he tries to do the right thing, it's never for the right reasons. It's because he wants to make himself feel better.
Yeah. And it was funny that even his own family cracked on that ugly ass suit that he had on with all those kind of colors.
As you should.
Yeah. So I kind of did like that stuff with him. I thought this season was another kind of strong season. Besides for kind of the stuff I mentioned before about the Frenchie little Nina stuff, which I wasn't into. The kind of the stuff with Huey, I don't think Huey was as strong as he was the past seasons, but I still thought he was pretty good. But Mother's Milk was a big standout for me, and then his whole dynamic this season with his wife's new husband, Todd, I think is his name, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Todd.
He just looks like a Todd, don't he? Like you just like if you had to come up with a name, like even if you didn't know his name, it's like, yeah, I bet your name is like Todd or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It was like, how do you make a character that I hate so much more than Homelander?
Yeah. You hate him more than Homelander, you think? I saw some people say that.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's a sniveling little bitch, and he is just so incredibly annoying in that he is like, hey, do your own research. Look outside the mainstream media. Like, Starlight's trafficking in kids. He is that fucking QAnon bitch boy that needed the shit smacked out of him. When Mother's Milk decked him, I clapped.
Dusk, what about you? Do you think Todd, and then also some people were saying that Ryan was also, for them, more hated. They hated them more than Homelander this season. What are your feelings on that?
No, Ryan is a child. That I can forgive.
I can forgive Ryan being a child. Okay, so... Todd is a sellout in every state of the word. How Monique got interested in him, I'm not sure.
I need to know how the fuck that happened.
I also think Monique is a terrible person. The only nice thing she ever said was at the was like the very beginning with when she and Mother's Milk are talking, and she basically says, "Look, I'm sorry I put you through all that and trying to make you something that you aren't, and I'm really sorry about that stuff."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "That, thank you. That needed to have been said." That still doesn't change the fact that you went from a character who has clearly a lot of issues for Soups to a guy who loves the crap out of Homelander.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, like former husband that I still might have feelings for, but
Having
like just divorce me. Yeah.
having a fucking 7 themed birthday party for their kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very like not cool in a lot of ways. And also how this season ends, Todd just solidifies what kind of a piece of crap he kind of is.
Yeah.
That he's just willing to. He's just such a yes man that he doesn't think about anything in the long run. And yeah, when he just gets belt, that's like yes, that needed to happen.
Which I think Todd is supposed to be because the show touches on so much with pop culture. Todd is meant to be like a stand-in for like a QAnoner.
Yeah, I want to also get into that before we kind of wrap up with our final thoughts on it and reviews. So this season, there was kind of, you see a lot of parallels they've drawn between things like you have people who are, like fans in this show. You have a crowd of people who are Stormfront supporters, even after she got outed as a Nazi.
Yep.
And then you even have like an actual, website called Stormfront, which is like a Nazi website, even though you do have that.
That's basically what Garth Ennis based the character on in the comic.
Yeah.
Okay,
also,
so you did
Stormfront. Also Stormfront in the comics is a guy.
Yeah.
And it took like 4 or 5. The way Stormfront was taken out in the comics is completely different. It's much more of like an ambush that doesn't go quite right, and then Butcher ends up finding a way to kind of ambush him when that all goes wrong because Stormfront likes to talk, and they work it out that way. Yeah. They actually have way more nuance with this, way more. The character's way better for it.
And the show basically makes her Laura Ingraham with superpowers.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. So I wanted to kind of get you guys' opinion on that this season of when they kind of draw on these parallels. Do you think like those are too on the nose? Do you think it's too much, you know what I mean? Like so representative of like, like Trump rallies and even Homelander as a Trump-esque figure?
I mean, the show kind of has always been that way.
Okay.
The show has always been very on the nose with its satire and with its political commentary. Even as I say, the show's like has nuanced writing. The nuance comes from how it writes its characters in these situations. Everything else is very on the nose, and it pretty much has been since day one.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how much on the nose it can be. I mean, if you have people who think that Soldier Boy and Homelander are anti-heroes, but
media literacy is dead.
Yeah. Dusk, what do you kind of think? Do you think this season more than any other season has more political commentary on? Or do you think it's about the same?
I think it has different political commentary, but there's more in some ways than there are in others. I think what this season did more is, look, we're just not going to talk to you about it or shove it in your face and do it. We're just going to put it there. We're not even going to try and force it. We're just going to be, here's it surrounded. You figure it out. And it's just in the world.
Yeah, it points out why something like doing these kinds of like political stuff in The Boys works versus when the CW does it in something like Supergirl. Where in that show, it's so on the nose and so shoved down your throat that even when I agree with what they're saying, it's getting annoying.
Yeah. It's just all in the tone and all in the writing of how you do it, and I think this show does a great job at that. And I think the Todd character, speaking about this season of man and masculinity and all this other thing, you have a guy like that in Todd who I think really lives his masculinity through a guy like Homelander. A guy that has all these powers that can do what he wants, and then when you see with
Todd 100% had a Tyler Durden poster in college.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, yeah, I mean, he kind of lives through. You see, kind of some of these guys who do live through these kind of figures, and so kind of admire these figures. And then you have that with the Todd character, and then Homelander this season of saying what's on his mind and getting all this praise and love for it, something that he thought he'd be hated for saying. He has a fan base who just adores him for saying it. And then the final episode, the final moment of this episode, you have where Homelander, the guy throws something and then he just lasers him in front of everybody, and then he's met with applause, and it's like a trickle effect because one person, it's the Todd, it's his bitch ass. He starts cheering and then everybody's like, okay, well, I guess if he's cheering, then hey, I guess it's cool. Then we can, we're having a good reaction to this.
Yeah, and it's like so horrific in that the past couple years that even if like a lot of politicians and public figures, even if we like deep down knew they were monsters, they would still try to save face publicly. And now it's like a guy can like openly admit to sexually assaulting women and get elected president.
Yeah.
I mean, like monsters don't even have to pretend to be like good people.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then I guess we're gonna talk about also like thoughts for like what we think after that final moment. What's gonna probably lead up into kind of season 4. But also I kind of want to get to just like also one little issue I had before we do. So Soldier Boy's power, like his whole like, I was kind of a little confused on how it worked, like his radioactive ability. So does it kill lower level soups and humans, but then with people who are more powerful soup characters, it fries the V out of them, or?
I think it like depends on how much V is like the TNT, like spoilers for Herogasm, because he vaporized the TNT twins.
Yeah.
And he like straight up like blasts them with that chest.
So from what I understand, his power is it's like a de-atomizer. So basically, if you have any unnatural VOT, for stage 1, any stage 1 that's around you, it will set off a chain reaction that will chemically just kill any soup that is unstable and has those very first ones. So for those of like his teammates, it would just nuke the crap out of them. Except for maybe Black Noir, who, because he got upped with more stuff, he'd be able to maybe survive it a little bit, but he's still going to be horribly damaged. Anyone who's basically artificially born, there's only one character that's basically completely immune from it, and that's Homelander's son, because he's the only naturally born, where he wasn't injected. It just got it through genetics. So he's the only one that's basically immune to that. Anyone else, even Homelander, if he got hit with the blast, he would just get completely like, damn it. If nothing else, if he didn't die from it, his power would be gone. It would be removed from his system, and he'd just be a normal human being.
Yeah. So when Maeve, when she tackled Soldier Boy out the window, shouldn't she have? You think she should have died?
This episode pretty explicitly says that Maeve is on the same level strength-wise as Homeland.
Yeah, so basically she would have her powers got removed. Yeah. Are we talking spoilers now?
Yeah. This is...
Okay. So basically, yeah, her powers got removed.
Okay, but before we get to like the Maeve thing, there's something that just made me die laughing. Because we get the reveal in the previous episode that Soldier Boy is Homelander's father. And they say at the beginning that he told Butcher and Huey. And there's like this coin flip of, is Soldier Boy going to hold up his end of the deal and kill Homelander? And this entire like set up to be an emotional confrontation. And Jensen Ackles drops the line, maybe if I raised you, you wouldn't have turned out to be such a pussy. And I was like, I was just dying laughing.
Like I said, hey, that generational trauma, man. I mean, yeah, he's passed it down. Yeah, I mean, because it looked like it was...
Okay, but back to...
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always thought that, Soldier Boy and Homelander would team up against Butcher. That's where I thought this was going, based off last episode.
Yeah. But the Queen Maeve thing. So what were you saying there, Dusk, about the Queen Maeve?
Oh, Queen, so if she's at a similar level and her powers get removed and she's alive, that's the same thing will happen to Homelander, basically. She's near his strength, at least in that. If nothing else, he may not, even if he retains even a little bit of suit power, he's not going to be invulnerable anymore. He's not going to have whatever anymore. So that's what they need to get, and they've somehow still failed it every single time. And it's even now going to be even harder than it was before. The only one that's basically just probably is going to be immune is, well, Ryan. And Ryan's not in the best hands at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is speaking so well about like generational trauma, because I'm sure Butcher, when he kind of told off Ryan, he did it with the intent of protecting him. It was like, stay away from me, kid. You'll be safer that way.
Yeah.
And he just ended up pushing him into the hands of Homelander.
Yep. Yeah. I thought, it was a great final episode with a lot of great moments. The fight scenes in this show have been very good, especially for a show that, with the budget it has. I think it does a great job. Like in episode 6 with Hero Gasm, when it was Butcher and Huey and Soldier Boy versus Homelander, that was, I thought, a great fight sequence. And in this final scene, final episode where you have all of them teaming up against Soldier Boy, and even a little kind of team up between Butcher and Homelander where they kind of give that look to each other. I thought that was a great moment.
It's like the second you lay a hand on the kid, we good?
Yeah. Which, if you know about the comics, Butcher, he wouldn't have given a fuck about that kid. That's for sure. I don't think he would have done anything for that.
Oh, in the comics, it's way worse and way less interesting. Where it's Homelander rapes Becca, and then a year she tries to hide the pregnancy until the baby basically just claws its way out of her and she dies, and then it's like with its laser eyes and crap, and then he belts it to death with the lamppost. And that's why he hates soups. Anybody's going to kill Homelander. Yeah. And you're like, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's super edgelord.
Yeah. In regards to that final scene from this season, where do you guys think season 4 is going?
So there's an arc in the comic about Vicky Newman, who in the show is played by they're basically doing that, and it is essentially a coup by Vought to take over the country, and starts like relaxing a lot of the laws against superheroes and letting them basically run wild. And I think that's where the show is going.
Okay. Dusk?
Yeah. I think the show of Homelander not shying away from what he is anymore. I think he's done pretending to be loved, and now he's like, well,
no, he realized
he
realized that he can be as monstrous as he wants to be and still be loved.
Yep. The whole time he was trying to play face, now he's just like, nah, I think I'll just be me now. And
I'm Homelander, and I can really do whatever the fuck I want.
Basically, yeah. And so he's going to show off. What will be interesting is seeing how Billy's going to deal with that, because now he's basically failed his final words to his wife. He basically failed. He's failed twice now. And he let Ryan be handed in the hands of a monster that she never wanted in the first place. Yeah. And and now they're going to have to deal with that. He's also terminal at this point from using too much V24. He's keeping that hidden for now. Yeah. Huey hopefully is just going to stop taking the crap, because I think he's been he doesn't want to do it anymore, and he's seeing what he's becoming, and he's like, nah, man, I want to keep some of my soul. I still have a chance to save myself, and I'm going to do it. And everyone else is like, yeah, we want you to stay you.
It's like that entire speech that he gives to Starlight. That entire monologue. It's back. Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad would just wouldn't fight for after my mom left, and he always saw it as weakness. But he was really just staying strong for Huey, which I thought was a very beautifully done scene and a great performance by Jack Quaid. And
Yeah.
so finally Huey got his head out of it. And even just like that little line, it was like, yeah, I know every neuron in your brain is screaming to tell me I told you so.
I also think Starlight needs to take a piece of humble pie, and I think a lot of there's also interesting. A lot of people started to hate Starlight this season because
No. Starlight is the one actual superhero on this
I
entire
think
show.
some people started to hate some aspect when she started hitting on Huey. The thing about the show is both characters are written well, that you see where both characters are coming from, and even with Huey being as it, you get where he's coming from. It's like, well, this is you. This is you. It's not just the drugs. It's just you. And it's like, I also saw my girlfriend completely obliterated in front of my eyes, and I've been basically weak my entire life, and now I have a moment of strength. Get off your fucking high horse. And she's like, cool, I'm gonna get off my high horse now. And then he's like, okay, well now I'm gonna apologize because now you're off your high horse, and now we can see each other on mutual terms. It was in that moment. It's like in a sometimes emotion has a way of contradicting us when we do need to just extend the hand.
But also emotion
Yeah.
does that by its very nature.
I know, but I'm
Humans
saying that's what
don't
makes
make
it good.
rational decisions when emotional.
That's
which
what I'm saying. I'm saying that's good in that nature of it. Huey's fine. Other characters are going to be fine. We'll do something interesting. The one thing I was surprised by, and kind of feels like a waste, is what they kind of did with Noir's character. And I feel
he was teed up so well in the 7th episode, where we get that animated flashback, and we get a peek of how Noir sees the world. He sees like a whole bunch of the animated characters with him.
Yeah. Do you think
that shot in the last episode of him like strolling through the halls of Ott Tower with the fucking like Buster Beaver cartoon just like charging along right next to him? That just made me laugh.
So do you think that Black Noir is coming back? And some people were like, because that was some of the issues. It's like, wow, you teed up this character, gave him all his backstory just to kill him this season.
I don't think he's dead.
So
personally speaking, I think he has Wolverine
back.
powers. I think he has like really, really, really good reconstitutional abilities. Because how the hell do you survive what Soldier Boy did to you after that fact? I think it's a case of after you did damage to him, he didn't have that power before, but when they brought him in, they injected him, and then he got that like X Factor power after the fact, so it couldn't heal previous damage.
Yeah, I think this is also in a way adapting where his story goes in comics. It's a way of like putting that fuse and that rage against Homeland.
Oh shit! I had a thought. What if they take in a way to counter, because Homelander's going to do this shit? What if that's like, okay, well, we don't want him to die because he's super useful. He has these X Factor. What if we put a little Homelander DNA in there and then just see what happens? And that's how they can get kind of sort of with it, but with a different twist.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going there, Koki? How you doing there, man?
There's crazy crap in there. Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it. I mean, you know what? I'm happy about that. I'm happy that I don't know exactly where it's going to go.
I think his character is too interesting, especially now, to just kill him off and put him into the embrace of Christ the Lord this soon.
Basically, yeah. No, I don't think he's done. I think I think that's a sad way of taking him out of the big fight, but I don't think he's down for the count. I think he's quote unquote killed. Quote unquote. If I was a writer on the show, that wouldn't be the last time. I wouldn't have set all that up to throw him away for a narrative reason. Like, no, there's too much to his character. We can't just throw him out now.
So, I mean, did you guys answer that question? Do you think Maeve should have been killed? Do you think she should have been killed?
Honestly, after like the last like 2 seasons, I think Maeve deserves a happy ending.
Yeah, she's not gonna get it because it's the boys. Nobody's gonna get a happy ending in the boys, except maybe Mother's Milk. He'll be all right. Mother's Milk and maybe a couple characters who aren't super involved. Probably gonna have a happy ending. Maybe Huey, like in the comics, he might have somewhat of a happy ending, but other characters, this isn't going to end well for people.
Mm.
And I think it will end a hell of a lot better than it did in the comics. The comics ending, despite the really good twist that they basically just removed from the show, didn't really have a lot to desire for the ending.
Mm-hmm.
So it better be better than that.
Ratings?
It already has a low bar.
I mean, it's not a high bar to clear.
No, it's not really high.
Final ratings?
I've loved every single season of this show, even season 2, which people like claim is like a step down. I gave that a 10 out of 10. I gave that This Is Cinema. Every single season of this show has been This Is Cinema levels for me.
Okay.
I think how it balances this just charcuterie board of characters that they have in constantly advancing their stories and their arcs, even taking stylistic leaps, like having a full musical number, having an entire animated sequence, having an entire flashback episode with Billy, how they did that and how every single one of those choices was used to advance a character.
Yeah.
This is cinema for me.
Okay. Dust?
I think this season brought back the better quality. I think season 2. I think season 2 was a bit of a downer in comparison to the first season, but I think this is a better writing of the ship. I wouldn't say season 2 was bad by any measure, but I do think it did lower its quality a bit. Went a little too far in some places than it did. But
I think even with the lower quality of season 2, that finale fucking rips.
I mean, I'm not going to say
girls
otherwise.
get it done.
Jesus. You know what? Yeah, no, I mean, there was a lot of great memes from that made, rightfully so, making fun of Marvel and that whole, like, Endgame thing. That's great.
I mean, you have 3 superpowered women curb stomping a Nazi. That is gonna get, like, the bar is like a 9 out of 10.
I guess what I was saying is, this show, it is impressing me how much that they're taking time for these characters and giving them moments of nuance and allowing tone to be appropriately spread throughout. I think if you're going to watch this show, I think any other show should at least watch these seasons and understand how to do tone. Because I think this is one of the very few shows that knows how to balance both the serious tone and the lighter one for levity without being completely a joke. And still keep its seriousness without wasting it and making it part of the universe. I can't give this that this is cinema. I'm not quite there. There's just certain little small things here and there that I can't quite give it, but this is a tune in. Like, go ahead, check it out. It's if this is not your forte, totally get it. Totally not your thing. I normally wouldn't really be into this. I know I like horror, but I usually don't like dour stuff. But this has just enough stuff that keeps me interested even with the dour subject. And they're able to balance that very well. So for even someone who's like me, who doesn't like darker, I'm not darker, I don't just like depressing stuff. I can watch horror all the time. It's not as.
I feel like you don't like edgelordy dark
Yes.
stuff.
I like horror with horror that's fun or horror that's a point.
You like dour horror as long as it has a point, or
Correct.
at least it has something thematic going on.
Right. Or it's just not so crazy and doesn't matter, and so I don't have to worry about it.
And this show does. This show takes all of that and balances it beautifully.
Right. So I can't give it anything less than a tune in. Can't not do it. It's super strong. Check it out if you haven't already. Now's a good time to hop on. You won't be disappointed. Just don't get close to anybody early on in the series. Just let me know. Don't get attached.
It's amazing that a comic book like Garth Ennis's The Boys got adapted by Eric Kripke, and it turned into one of the best. I wouldn't even say best comic book shows. I would say one of the best shows on television.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where quality of the book of Game of Thrones was able to be adjusted at first surprisingly well. Despite a disastrous pilot, it ended up being able to get the right people involved not including the writers, but the production and everything else around it, and the screenplay and the producers, to kind of just make this thing work. And that's what kind of that magic, which you want from a series. And that's kind of what it's like. That magic moment is happening again, and we're able to see it. And you're like, this is what happens when everyone's firing on all cylinders, and they're all focused on something.
And when you're teed up by an amazing pilot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I would give it a high tune in for myself. Besides for the little issues I mentioned, the stuff with Frenchie, I wasn't really all that interested in. I think the stuff with the Deep, it's kind of a little bit of a one note stuff with him. But overall, I think this is a very, very strong show, and I'm excited to see what they do with season 4. The Boys continues to be great. Love what they're doing this series. Love the cast. Love the creative team behind it. Amazing show. Amazing show. One of the best shows on TV right now, I think, that you can watch. Even if you're not into superhero stuff, I think it goes beyond just being a superhero show. I think that it also has a lot of great stuff in there when it comes to the political commentary, the social satire, all that stuff that you can really get into that is very humorous. Great series. All right, we got one last review, and then we're going to be we're going to do the news, and then we're going to be out of here. So our last review is Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel, we left off, I think, on episode 2 or 3. We have reviews for the beginning episodes, like the first kind of episode 1, episode 2 on YouTube now. You all can check it out, youtube.com, The Afternoon Tune. Miss Marvel is the new Disney Plus MCU show right there, following the character of Kamala Khan, who is Miss Marvel. This details the story of a Pakistani girl living in America, specifically New Jersey. And you will hear a lot of Bon Jovi playing, because Bon Jovi in New Jersey is basically Jesus. So you will hear a lot of kind of music like that playing throughout the series of Bon Jovi music. And there was some controversy of this show about when it was kind of in its, production and kind of getting into the show, about the power change that Kamala Khan has here, where in the comics she's an Inhuman, where she kind of has stretching abilities and bigging, where she, kind of this bigging in power that she kind of has. Here it's presented like she has like a bracelet, where she kind of has this, what's called hard light. Basically, it kind of looks like a Green Lantern-esque type power. I talked about it when we reviewed the first episode. Wasn't, now that you're hearing what the creator talked about, what the intention of the power is, seeing the powers kind of in the show, I was like, I kind of could have seen they could have kind of kept that. But I think, the series has a good charm to it. I like the lead of the series. I think she's basically having the time of her life playing this character. We talked about how much of she, the actress herself, is a fan of this MCU stuff, is a fan of the comics and of the character of Miss Marvel. And with watching the show, Nick described it as a Disney Channel show, which wasn't necessarily a slight at the show, because I think a lot of some of the Disney Channel stuff can be good. Like back in our day, we had That's So Raven, we had Even Stevens, we had shows like that we very much liked and enjoyed. So I don't think it was a slight at that show to call it like a Disney Channel show. I think in some ways it's a compliment.
No, when I said that, I meant it in the best compliment possible. It was reminding me a lot of stuff like That's So Raven, like Sweet Life, Zack and Cody.
Yeah. So I think it does have that very much that tone here. Very much like her family in this. And I think the best parts of the show for me are not really the superhero stuff. It's more of just the family stuff. It's more of just the culture stuff. It's more of seeing, that. Like when they do I think it was episode 4, I believe it was, when they do the wedding.
Great.
I thought that was really cool, like seeing that wedding. It's like, damn, that looks like a badass wedding. It looked like a wedding I kind of want to go to, hang out in.
You had a traditional Pakistani Muslim wedding on fucking Disney.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of very cool. I think that stuff interests me more than actually the superhero stuff. The superhero stuff in general, It's kind of just kind of meh for me. I think it's just kind of okay where she kind of uses her powers and fights this villain. Some people are saying that this villain is not very interesting. So the villain that you have in this series is Nanjma, is how you pronounce it. It turns out she's the, it's kind of like a twist where, the relationship he has, like the crush on this guy that she's been crushing on in school. Cameron, no, Cameron, that's the rapper. Cameron,
Comron.
yeah, she has this crush on this guy at school, and turns out, he's kind of been working to kind of get close to her a little bit because, of her family history and legacy. And his mother turns out to be one of the villains of it. A lot of people saying they didn't like the villain of this series. What do you guys think about the villain kind of? Because it's kind of two villains. It's kind of them, and then it's also kind of damage control. What do you kind of guys think about that?
I think the villains have kind of just all of these Disney Plus shows. I feel like because they are so restricted to only doing 6 episodes and 6 like 35 to 45-minute episodes, you don't get time with the villain. Even a villain I like Arthur Harrow Knight, he doesn't really have a depth to him.
Dust?
The villains in this series are very underwhelming. We don't know any of their motivation. We don't know why they're doing what they're doing. We don't know why they're on a timetable at one point. They're like, we need to do this now. No more waiting. Why? You've waited this long. Why does it matter? What are the stakes? We need to know a lot more of what being this or who she's related to, why this matters. We need to know a lot more of what this new power you've set up, these new characters. We really don't get that. So when they try to enact injustice, or they try to speed things along, they just seem dumb. And they change that in such a dime that you're like, wow, you're not even going to try with nuance that you were at least trying to go to at first. And if I'm going to be honest, we've all seen up to the penultimate episode, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're doing spoilers, by the way, for these
Right. So I just don't know. Yeah, with just the villains, I don't know. I will say the best part actually for me, the first 2 episodes are okay. The third episode started off, actually, the first half being kind of strong. At least it started to see like the series is kind of finding its footing maybe a little bit. I will say everything with Abu, her father, is fantastic. I love the guy who plays him. He's a fun character. And he has there's one moment where he's talking to Kamala's brother. I'm trying to find the actor who plays him.
Oh, hey, thank you.
You can just call him the Beard.
Yeah, the Beard. Amir Khan, the actor is Sagar Sakia. He has this great little moment where he's like talking about how much money he has in his account, and he's about to get married, and he has so little after graduate school, and Abu just gives this great monologue of what it means to be a man and what it means to share love and to have faith and courage in oneself, and that choosing to be with family is a very brave thing.
Her father's name is Yusuf, I think.
Yusuf Khan, also known as Abu because that's just the term. Whatever.
Okay.
Played by Mohan Kapoor, does a fantastic job as the dad. It's just one of those nice little scenes. Her friend Nakia, played by Yasmin Fletcher. Now I don't know why she got a lot of crap early on because she was Lebanese American and a mixed race. Very similar to Fletcher.
Thank you for the 100 bits there, Callan. Yeah, we are doing spoilers for Miss Marvel up to episode
She does
5.
who as well in the comics version, she's Turkish American, and people are upset about that. I don't know why you're upset at. She's one of the better acted characters in this show. She's very good at showing a strong, confident character, while at the same time having good, like, vulnerable feminine traits and being nervous as a teenager would in changes. I think, the characters around her are all right. The only character I would say that actually I don't quite really dig or I don't know what they're really doing with this character and the relationship is Bruno, who's played by Matt Lintz. Yeah. He does fine with the role, but I just don't understand what their dynamic is. What's going on with these characters? and why he's this loyal to
Yeah.
to Kamala. I really don't get their dynamic relationship.
Yeah. I think Bruno for me is one of the weakest supporting members here.
Mhm.
It's a lot of it is because they're doing the whole, he's a friend, but he's got a crush on her thing. I think they should have just made it where he's just a flat out friend, like in
Yeah.
Shang-Chi, where
Mhm.
it's Aquafina and Simon Liu, like they're just friends. There's no hint of any romantic nature there, because I think that story beat is kind of tired of
Yeah.
him being friends with the girl, and then he's got a crush on her, and then he's jealous of, that she's attracted to this guy, and you know what I mean, and the guy, he fucks with him, and you know what I mean, he keeps calling him different names and stuff, Brian and Scott and Todd and Peter Parker, and he keeps calling all of them motherfucking different names. It's just like, yeah, okay, I think a lot of that stuff is pretty tired with him. you know and then the fact that also he's a super genius, you always got to have the guy in the chair.
Yeah, that actually
Mm.
bothered the heck out of me. Where there's many points she's like, "Oh, interdimensions." And then he's like, pause, and I audibly went, "What the? How are you gonna throw that at somebody? That's all theoretical." And he's like, "Well, maybe I've read something maybe about that and whatever." And I'm like, "No, no, no! Shut up! Completely! You are a high schooler. You are a high schooler. How are you knowing all this?" And then there's like in that one point, the plot point where it's just like, oh, you're gonna go to college and everything's paid. You're gonna go to one of the best technology schools. He's like, but it's in California, and I'm like, even though I was the guidance counselor, where I'm like, hey, remember this is the main character point where you're gonna get something and you're gonna move on in life, and this is what you're all been working towards. That's this moment, and this is where you say yes.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing to think about. It's like, what do you? Jersey will still be here when you get back. Jersey ain't going nowhere. It's been through like 5 different cataclysmic events. It'll be fine.
Nick, what do you?
Jersey's still here after Endgame.
Exactly.
It's gonna be here for a while.
Yeah. Nick, what do you think about that? About her supporting kind of cast members there with her friends and everything like that?
I think the supporting cast, I think it's one of the stronger ones of these Marvel Disney Plus shows. Even if with a character I don't really understand where he's going with Bruno, I think the actor is giving a lot to that role. I like all the character dynamics except for the villain, who is by and large the weakest part of this show.
Yeah. In this last couple of episodes, so did you like when she traveled to Pakistan, and then the whole kind of last episode was just purely just Baxter, which was just a flashback showing her great grandmother, who the actress who plays her great grandma. A lot of people were like, she is
Newish,
absolutely,
Hayat.
Hurston.
Oh my god, she is absolutely stunning.
Oh my god.
yeah,
Even for her age, she is absolutely stunning. Yeah, Newish Hayat, which plays Aisha, her great grandmother. She is she's only I don't know, 34. My goodness, she is absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, yeah,
Just Woga.
yeah, stunning, just stunning face, absolutely stunning face.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be-
absolutely. She
yeah.
has the kind of face that you're like, that's what cinema is made for.
Yeah,
You were made to look at a camera to be like, enchant anyone you look at.
yeah.
God damn.
What did you think about that episode? You guys, because yeah,
She's a more compelling character than Kamala, if I'm going to be honest.
I wouldn't go that far. I think
just
her
joking.
story was more interesting than Kamala's had been up to that point, at least as far as the whole, talking about history and talking about the British occupation of India and Pakistan, in drawing that line. And I think how the episode ends, I think, is really strong. With the Muniba, who's played by Zenobia Shroff, finally realizing that Kamala's got powers now. I thought that was handled really strong. Besides that, that's about it.
okay.
Oh.
What do you think about the stuff with damage control?
It feels like an after.
Okay, Dusk.
So, this series, it's like 3 different shows at once. One story is about a kid from New Jersey who gets superpowers, and it's a small origin story about how they gain superpowers and then how they deal with it on a very small scale, similar to Spider-Man in that aspect, and trying to figure out responsibility while also working around their own culture and family. And then the other story is about a story of a band group who tries to protect their culture and their people from the unseen and those that that would try to sneak their way into our dimension, or those from the shadow or jinn. And it's very almost kind of like very Pakistani, very Middle Eastern kind of style group that wants to protect it. And then we have a third story about a romantic story about a being who came from another world that fell in love and decided to build a life on this world instead of going home. But it gets taken from her as things starts ratcheting up as the others from her world want her to send them back, and she has the key to it, and she doesn't want to give it up in fear of knowing what will happen when they unlock the door. And this show doesn't know which one it wants to choose. It doesn't know what it wants to be. And instead of just being one show, it tries to put all that in there. And I remember watching episode 4 after making it through all those episodes and going, when I saw like the graffiti on around the Pakistani city, and I'm going, I can see they so badly want her to be the new Spider-Man. They so badly want her to be, and there's the potential there, but something's missing. It needs to have a much more coherent center. I think having a character who is of that nature of Pakistani, learning about apartheid, having those other connections, that feels like season 2 or 3 development. That feels like stuff that should have been brought in later after you've had a center core of a character who is very down to earth, tries to do her best, and you all relate to her as a character as she's getting better as a hero and she finds herself, and she does have that connection. And then as time goes on, we have this built-up moment, and then maybe later down the line, these other things get built up. Maybe at first we don't know, oh, she's being kind of trained, like, oh, you need to join us. And they offer the help, the Red Band or whatever they're called. We're gonna help the Red Daggers. We're gonna help you out and stuff. And then she learns what the clandestine really are, and then what it means to be a Jinn, and all these things. And that could have built up, but it's all being done in like 6 episodes. And by episode 5, I'm like, well, the series is done. There's no story left.
It's the problem with all of these Disney Plus shows, except for like maybe Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And even WandaVision to an extent, is that you're trying to cram so much into 6 episodes. You can't possibly give the time necessary to all of it.
It's also the pacing. The pacing for the first couple of episodes is really bad.
I thought for at least the first 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
That was tight.
I know. We have the opposite feeling on it. But I'm going to be honest. The first episode is super boring. I'm not asking for superpowers, but I do need, there needs to be something kind of in there to really kind of get... I needed a little bit more. I feel like that 6th episode, we could have had a little bit more focus on Kamala as a person first and foremost. Really get their dynamic first before powers even get introduced. That would have been really better to solidify her as a person and her beliefs and other aspects first, her family dynamic, really thoroughly. And then you kind of slowly bring it up. And not until not really until episode 2 to then the powers start showing and then she's kind of learning, and before this kind of big moment happens. I don't know. It feels like it's fully too quick, fully rushed, and the moments with the family that are somewhat good, it does feel almost kind of ungrateful in others, or too rushed in others. I don't know. I understand family dynamics are all different, and other families are more prudish than others and other families. I completely get that. But there were other ways to get out of certain situations, and they felt very cringy and very, why are we doing this?
Hey,
why is this?
My mom's a Filipino immigrant, so other immigrant parents, that felt real to me.
With this series, I think the first, couple episodes of it, I like kind of what they were doing with the style of it, where how she was
That
daydreaming.
stops after really episode 3.
I kind of liked how she was kind of daydreaming, everything like that, and kind of animating and then kind of those things. I kind of
Yeah,
like that
the
style what
first
they did.
the first 2 episodes, it kind of felt like Marvel's answer to something like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which that was like a really big standout thing against like kind of the sameness of this phase of the MCU, which I don't know why you dropped that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll discuss Phase 4, a little bit of that, probably all that stuff tomorrow to get into like Phase 4 of this Marvel stuff. Because the final film, I guess, in Phase 4, what is it? Is it Black Panther 2? Is that
I,
like the
I
final?
think it's supposed to be Fantastic Four.
Oh, is that supposed to be fan? Okay. Okay. So we'll get into all that stuff there. Spoiler discussion tomorrow with Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah. With this kind of, it's the 6 episode format has a stranglehold on Disney. This Disney Plus stuff they're doing with these superhero shows. At first, it kind of seemed kind of fun, like an idea. It's like, hey, we're doing these Disney Plus series, and we're gonna do these characters, and it's gonna be these 6 episodes, little mini series. Oh, okay, that's fun. That's cute. All right. But it's not I don't think a lot of these series. It's not allowing the creators to tell a good story. And it's really feels a lot of places feels rushed and underdeveloped and undercooked, and the fact that it only has one more episode left and they have to do so much, and then they don't make those last episodes an hour and a half, or you know what I mean. They don't. I guess they don't have the pool like Duffer Brothers where they say fuck it, 2 hours. 2 hours of nothing but Stranger Things episodes. They just go like, "Hey, listen."
Which is strange because Feige has made Disney so much money. He has made them all of the money in the world. You figure that would be like carte blanche, do whatever the fuck you want with all these shows.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Kevin Feige decision. Like these have to be 6 episodes an hour. I don't know. I don't know what decision there is or who's making that. But yeah, I think it's in a detriment to these series. Yeah, we'll review the final episode when it comes out next week. We'll give our thoughts on that. So what are the feeling right now for you guys with this series now that it's 5 episodes in?
I feel like I'm disappointed with this last episode because I thought Ms. Marvel started out so strong in how it was introducing a lot of these character dynamics between Kamala Khan and her friends and family. And now it's kind of just devolved into, I don't even know what the fuck you're going.
Yeah. And it's kind of they're building to like end of the world type stakes, which I don't think you have to do that with the Miss Marvel show or these Disney Plus series. Like you don't have to have like end of the world type stakes. And it seems like that's what they're kind of doing.
And let's be honest, most of the plot with Kamala is probably going to be an afterthought in the next. And the rest of it is basically just going to be set up for Kamala to appear in the Marvel.
Yeah. You think Brie Larson is showing up in the final episode?
Who knows?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, probably. Dusk.
What started off what could have just been an okay show is kind of devolving and kind of going all over the place and not really finding a good ground to stand on. I'm also confused on what exactly her Jinn powers can do, and of all the descriptions of what Jinn are capable of doing mysticism, creating like shiny light and stones is kind of lame if I'm going to be honest. I don't know, when Jinn can be described as something as cool as demons of smokeless fire, you've got so much out there to do something fun with. And I know this was never going to do something truly extreme, but and almost the show also didn't really need a villain. You just needed a character who was going through things and then learned humility and strength and became a hero, even though she came from a smaller neighborhood.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they are, regardless of New Jersey or that crap, that doesn't matter. It's just a character doing the right thing for the right reasons in a world that could use one. And then, like, if you want to add the DoD effect, make them kind of the bad guys. Because honestly, ever since Homecoming and such for Spider-Man, they've just been jerks. And I get where they're coming from on some aspect, but they've just been handling it. There's like an entire point where they just show up in a mosque, a religious a religious house, and they're like, "All right, just search the premises." And then she brings up, "You can't do that. Like legally, you can't do any of that. You'll need a warrant." And they're like, "Eh." No, I see you read your rights, and I'm like, you could sue them for that right then and there because they tried to do something illegally. They're an afterthought, and I'm also gonna be honest. I know they hired the character, the guy who plays the male agent. He just has the most punchable face you'd ever met in your life.
Yeah, I forgot that
He's just
actor.
like,
He was in
I don't know
something
that
else.
actor. He reminds me of Ethan Klein from H3H3, and he's
Oh.
just also a very punchable person.
Oh yeah, I could kind of see the resemblance a little bit. Yeah, I think like you said, I
He
mean,
does kind of resemble that guy, and he also plays a very similar Succession.
Succession, that was the show that he was on. Oh yeah, yeah. That people said he was from. Yeah, I think this season it's like a mix of like season 2 stuff and season 1 stuff. Like, it's like this stuff and material, her going really into her backstory like this and all this stuff. It's like feels a lot like season 2 material, and then some of it with season 1. Where I think season 1 should have been like mainly the high school stuff and her being a kid and doing the superhero stuff like Dust said, and damage control could have been the bad guys, and it's like, okay, who's investigating, who's this hero who's doing this and trying to find them, and her just doing small level stuff, you know what I mean, and stopping a burglary, or stopping a mugger, or you know what I mean, something like that. It's like just kind of small level stuff. And the fact that she's kind of going up against these people who've been on Earth for what, hundreds, thousands of years, and she's kind of beating them up. Even if it's kind of accidentally, it's kind of like, okay. I mean, I don't know about all that, but yeah, but yeah, I mean, just for a series, I think start off pretty good. I think pretty strong. Yeah, I mean, this episode 5, I wasn't really digging it all that much. But thank you, Miss Marvel, for introducing me to the great grandmother. Thank you for that. She is absolutely stunning. So thank you for that.
G-Gilf.
Yeah. All right, so that was Miss Marvel, episode 5 review. We're gonna be doing the finale next week. So looking forward to that. Checking that out. What's the next Disney Plus series, Marvel series that's after this one? Is it? Oh, She-Hulk.
Oh God.
She-Hulk. She-Hulk.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is
God.
She-Hulk.
Yeah, that's August 13th, I think.
Too much. Too much.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna be getting into the news, people, and we're gonna be getting out of here. There we go. Thank you, Kristen, for showing up, donating the bits. 111 bits. Thank you so much for that. Much appreciated. Yeah. So we're gonna be getting some quick news. All right. So Julius Onan is going to be he's going to be the director for the 4th Captain America film. He directed also the Cloverfield Paradox, a movie that I thought was pretty terrible.
Fuck.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty terrible movie myself. Yeah, I guess you guys feel the same way. Yeah, so
Yeah, that movie's ass.
yeah, I thought it was, especially coming off of 10 Cloverfield Lane. That was like, what the fuck is this? Which was 10 Cloverfield Lane was absolutely great, which I thought was an amazing movie. Yeah, so that's kind of disappointing to hear. I think he also did another movie called Loose. With it's a social drama here, social thriller drama. It's got Octavia Butler in it. I haven't heard of it. I haven't seen it. Has anybody here seen it?
Nope.
Yeah, Lucy. Okay. Yeah. So he's going to be the director of Captain America 4. I thought they were probably going to make the guy who did who's the showrunner of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show, the director. I thought they were going to.
I thought Kari Skoglund would have been tapped to direct the film because she did all 6 episodes, and that by far is like the most focused of these Disney Plus shows. She's directed a lot of The Handmaid's Tale, The Walking Dead, The Americans, House of Cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they were kind of going to make her the director, or Malcolm Spellman, who is the writer, main writer of the series. I thought they were kind of going to do that.
Yeah, and even looking on IMDb, Kari's still listed as like directed by on as well as Julia Sona.
Oh, so maybe it's a left seat, right seat situation, maybe.
I hope, because yeah, you said fuck. Okay. Cloverfield Paradox director. Fuck.
Yeah. Has she ever done a feature film before?
Skolin, I think this would have been a feature directorial deal.
Okay. Do you guys care about a Captain America 4? Do you want to see a Captain America 4?
Mostly just want to see them do more Anthony Mackie now that he is proper.
Okay. Dusk?
Not really, to be honest. It's just kind of like, all right, you got the mantle now. That's cool. Still think Carter probably should have gone to Bucky, but hey, that's understandable. I know they're trying to give Anthony Mackie more role for the future. That's fine. I got no problems there. But I have no faith in it now that I know who the director is.
Yeah. We'll see that. Also, in other Marvel news, Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio returning. They're going to be the Marvel series Echo. So that's kind of interesting. Probably raises excitement for the Echo series. I don't know if you've all ever read Echo from the comics before, or have much knowledge of her in the comics. But I did like how she appeared.
Really.
I did like how she appeared in Hawkeye.
Yeah, she was a great character on Hawkeye, but I'm just waiting on all the like fan hate for the eventual like Echo show, because a show that's literally called Echo isn't about Matt Murdock and Kingpin.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's good. I mean, Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, people love them. They're universally loved for portraying Daredevil and Kingpin, I think. So it'd be great to see them back. I did like Echo in the Hawkeye series. I thought, again, it struggled from what a lot of these Disney Plus series struggled of the kind of 6-episode format and then developing things. And I think Vincent D'Onofrio was still good as Kingpin, but his whole coming back and everything was just sloppily. It was just so sloppy the way they handled it, and everything like that. But yeah, would you want to see a movie instead of a series if they bring back Daredevil, just make it a movie? Or
I think it depends on the story they want to tell with the character. I feel like with Charlie Cox, he has enough clout from the Daredevil show that he could do it as a film, even though they're talking about doing it as a Disney Plus series, which, judging by like how most of these have gone, I'm not looking to that.
Thus, any thoughts on Echo at all? Okay. I don't know. Maybe he's saving another life right now. Maybe he's doing that right now.
Gotta call 911 again.
Yeah. Before, if it was the same neighbor and he's 911 again.
It's like Dusk is becoming an actual superhero on that show.
Yeah. He's like, hey, man, listen, man, I got to go call 911 again. My other neighbor is in trouble.
Oh, it's raining. My internet died.
Oh, okay.
No. Hey, at least one of us trying to be Superman over here.
Yeah.
True.
But I guess while I got you for the brief moment, what was the question again?
Any thoughts on Echo? Any thoughts on Echo coming to the series?
I couldn't care. Her character was okay. Like, she wasn't bad. She wasn't great. I don't think she deserves a series. I don't know why they think she does, but hey, prove me wrong. Make something great. You got Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio on your show, and you better utilize them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you will be the laughing stock of the MCU. This is your golden opportunity. If you can't you can't make it here, you're not going to make it anywhere else.
Yeah, I guess my fear is just that I don't want it to be like, okay, it's an Echo show, but then it's really a
Oh, it's going to have
Daredevil.
cameos. You know that. Why are you even suggesting otherwise?
Well, I don't want it to be like they overtake the show. Like it's all gonna be like mainly it's gonna be about them and about it's like, well, they got their own
It's probably
series.
going to be the inverse. It's going to be all about her, and occasionally they show up.
I hope that's the case since it's her show. I mean, it's called Echo, so I hope that's the case. Because
I just don't know why they even gave it to her, but hey, why not? If it's a chance for Charlie Cox to come back as Daredevil, why not?
Yeah.
He's already damaged his eyes just to play the role. It's pretty much all he can do right now.
Really? What has he done to
No,
his eye?
for real, he actually permanently hurt himself to play the role at this point.
Yeah, what did he do?
All that eye rolling.
Oh, the eye rolling? Oh, okay.
No, he was like so used to playing blind that he fucked up his audition for Han Solo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so kind of hurt his career because he was so used to playing blind.
Well, I think Han Solo, I don't think that's a big loss. Honestly, I don't think
No,
it's a
not
big,
really.
it's
If
a
I'm gonna
big
be
loss
honest,
him not being
although
Han
he would have done a great job as Han Solo, though.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. He's a good actor. I like Charlie Cox. Yeah. I like the one he was on Boardwalk Empire too. All right. So getting into a trailer, then we're gonna get into some sad news. I'm gonna, I guess, save the sad news for last. I guess. So Clerks 3. Clerks 3 is a trailer. Kevin Smith is back. I can't remember honestly the last movie I liked of Kevin Smith's. I'm trying to think. Maybe Chasing Amy, I guess, or maybe
Me, probably
Dogma.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Yeah, I guess that was okay. I guess. I mean, that was all the way in 2001 when that movie came out.
Fuck, that long ago?
Yeah, that was 21 years ago that movie came out. Oh, jeez. Yeah. But Clerks. This is the third film. Clerks was Kevin Smith's very first film, the film where he broke out onto the scene. He was part of that new crop of directors that were coming out in the '90s. It was him. It was like guys like Quentin Tarantino, guys that were kind of like they were this kind of renegade kind of filmmakers. Didn't go to film school. Their knowledge was their film knowledge was all from just going to video stores and watching a bunch of movies. And he struck. He made a hit. I mean, big popular film. Not in terms of box office, but just in terms of critic praise, and that kind of launched his career. I think so far. I mean, he hasn't really. I don't think all the way made a film is probably good as some people say. Good as Clerks. I think Chasing Amy is better than Clerks. I think was that his second film or third film? I believe.
I think it was his second.
Yeah. And I think a lot of his humor, a lot of what he does kind of in his movies, you're going to hear a lot of masturbation jokes, a lot of, jokes about pornography. Actually, now that I mentioned that, Zack and Miri Make a Porno. I actually thought that was pretty decent. Even though that was just basically a Judd Apatow movie with Kevin Smith basically doing it. But, yeah, I thought that was maybe kind of decent. Actually, Chasing Amy was his third film. Mallrats was his second film.
Shit, that's right.
Mallrats, I know some people hated Mallrats. I think he's apologized for Mallrats. I actually kind of like Mallrats.
I don't think he should apologize for Mallrats. It's all right. It's not a bad movie, and it's very terribly earnest.
Yeah, he should apologize for Tusk. Now Tusk is what he should be apologizing.
Tusk and Yokoho is needs to apologize for.
Yeah, okay. Tusk and Yokoho. Red State, yeah. Cop Out,
Oh, Cop Out.
Yeah. Jersey Girl.
But yeah. Look, Chasing Amy, Mars is fine. Clerks is good. Clerks 2 is good. And really, after that, you're kind of like, all right, he's fine. He doesn't really need to do anything else.
Yeah.
You don't see any of his work.
But
maybe Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and maybe Jay and Silent Bob, the most recent movie.
The super groovy cartoon movie, or the reboot, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
That was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think his humor really hasn't evolved really all that much. Like you're gonna get.
I mean, he's a Jersey guy.
He
He's a
actually,
Jersey guy from the '90s. It's not that it hasn't evolved; it's that everyone else has kept on going, and he stayed where he is.
he really is like Jay and Silent Bob hanging out outside that store.
Yeah,
He really
like
is.
literally where he filmed Clerks. That building is where he used to work.
He just
He sold a lot of his comic book collection to pay for that movie. As an independent filmmaker, you got to give Kevin Smith props
yeah.
for how he made it into the business and kind of gave hope for people making it into the business.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got respect for that guy. I think Kevin Smith is a funny guy.
Mhm.
When he does his, speaking, engagements, like when he told the story about working on a Superman movie, I think he could be a very funny guy.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I do like him, and yeah, I do have respect for the guy. I just think that yeah, a lot of his movies have not been very good. He's got a really bad track record with movies. What do you guys think about this trailer for Clerks 3? Don't all
I'll
speak
be
at
straight
once.
up, I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Oh, you
I
didn't
missed
see it? Dust, did you see it?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, okay.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Okay. Well, the whole kind of what's happening here is that you have let me see what's his name. I was gonna
Did you
say
know
J.
about? Did you
Huh?
know, by the way, Clerks is the first Clerks movie has been selected by the Library of Congress for preservation.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean,
2019, it got selected for preservation for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. So he can say he made a movie that's in the Library of Congress.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's. I think it's a great. I think Clerks is good. I think Clerks is very good.
Yeah, it's a solid movie.
Yeah. So the situation is Randall. He's dying. He's the second lead character of these Clerks movies. He's best friends with the Dante character. He's dying. Ends up this. He has kind of a near death event, and he's like, "Hey, have a dream. And one of my dreams was to make a movie. I've been all this time watching a movie, and now I want to actually make one." So that's what this whole seems like this whole premise of this movie is about. Is about his journey of casting and kind of making a movie. So it's a movie about a movie. It's like it's just like okay, that's kind of the whole thing here. Rosario Dawson, all the people kind of you'll see in this trailer that are classic to kind of Kevin Smith movies or the Clerks movies. They're going to be back here. Like Rosario Dawson's going to be back. Her character, which man, that's a lot of fucking fiction. That Rosario Dawson is with that dude who plays Dante. Like Jesus Christ, like he's the girlfriend of that character. Like let's say girlfriend, but yeah, that's what you kind of see here. Is them doing that.
I mean, it took a long time probably to get Oh, that's right. Okay, so Randall Graves, played by
Jeff Anderson.
Jeff Anderson. It took quite a bit to he'd been trying for years to get a to be in Clerks 3, but it was always Jeff Anderson who's just like, nah, leave it alone, leave it alone. And so I guess the only way to make Clerks 3 was just to kill his character off.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's like, yeah, so it never happened. I guess it's a situation like with Harrison Ford. It's like, listen, the only way I'm coming back to these Star Wars movies, you kill me. That's the only way I'm
He's
gonna.
never been happier
Yeah.
to not be associated with Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. So same situation here, I guess. But yeah, that's what's happening with Clerks 3.
Or at least trying to kill his ass off because I guess he survives it.
Let me see.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
This fall in theaters. I'm surprised it's coming to theaters. That's surprising. Yeah, it's still in theaters.
He's Kevin Smith. He's still able to do it. It's in New Jersey. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's by Lionsgate. They owe him still, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, he does have a very dedicated fan base. He does have a very
Yes, he does.
People who love his stuff. He's very dedicated.
You know what, man? I hope it's good.
Yeah, of course.
I hope it's good because, like, Jay and Silent Bob reboot wasn't terrible. It was like literally the same movie again, but at least it was all right, and it's better than Tuscan Yoga Hosers. So I that's all I hope for.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for just something that, because he ever since he had the heart attack and all that, He's put down the joint. He's tried to. It was actually what's the name? It was the guy from Zack and Miri Make a Porno. What's his name again? Curly hair. What's his name again?
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. It was Seth Rogen. He's like, oh man, you're so chill, you're so good. How'd you get that way? And that's actually what got him to get hooked on weed. Was Seth Rogen introduced him to weed, and then he just started making his own movies for himself. And now, after his heart attack, he's had to change his diet, change this completely.
Yeah.
And he stopped smoking weed as much, and not as much anymore. And he's been kind of sobering up on a lot of other things. So
yeah,
I don't know, man.
He's lost a lot of weight.
I wish the best for him. Hope he does well. Yeah, he does. He's still rocking that backwards cap, and he's still wearing those jersey represent and I mean literal jerseys, like sports jerseys.
Yeah.
And hey, man, if that's what he wants to do, and then he's Kevin Cool, and he could just live in a mansion and like hang out with his wife and.
Yeah. I mean, he could produce some, I think, cool stuff. I liked his He-Man show, which is coming back for a second season.
I don't know. That's just my feeling on it.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
I like his He-Man show. I haven't loved anything Kevin's. He's a guy I have a lot of respect for, just being, an indie filmmaker. He actually did make his dream come true. And I think along the lines of Clerks 2, he realized that, no, he's never going to be a Michael Bay. He's never going to get a chance to direct, like, the big budget blockbuster film that he wants to do. So he realized that, I'm just going to buy the Quick and Stop and just be content with life.
Yeah.
I mean, to also fair, he's also admitted that he's a fine enough script writer, but he's mostly good at dialogue. He's really good at dialogue, and he thinks he can nail dialogue. But everything else when it comes to a script, which is literally everything else, he's like, I'm okay at. And he admits that. And so I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, he knows his faults. He accepts that. I'm not like defending the guy, but I at least can admire that he knows his limits, and he's willing to just be like, yeah, let's just do one more movie. Let's just like do it maybe one more time. We'll see what happens. I hope it's at least decent. That's all I can ask for. Because Clerks 2 was surprisingly pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, speaking of Miss Marvel, I mean, that's set in New Jersey. They couldn't give Kevin Smith a call. They're like, hey, you from Jersey, come in, direct an episode.
Yeah, Miss Marvel couldn't give him a call. She'd probably make a camp. You know what? They called his ass when they had the Stan Lee from the Mallrats cameo. They had some... That's actually what they used in Captain Marvel. They used leftover audio from Stan Lee when he appeared in Mallrats and played that over. So they called him and asked if I had any. He's like, luckily I still had a lot, and it was like really clear and crisp. And so he kind of teared up when that scene showed up, and they had his comment from Mallrats, and he just made him miss Stan Lee all the more because they gotten kind of pretty friendly, and it was nice just to interact with them. Yeah. And it was nice that he wanted to do something. So, you know what? That's not entirely unheard of. He does have like some connections with Marvel and Kevin Feige, because apparently Kevin Feige called him.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. That's nice knowledge. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a big enough shill.
Who? Kevin Smith?
Oh yeah, he's a major shill.
For like what, comic book stuff? Oh yeah. Well,
comic books, Marvel, DC.
Yeah.
He'll shill for anything.
Yeah. He's a very emotional guy. He cries in a lot of movies. Like this movie made me cry.
He cries a lot because he's full of estrogen.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean literally, because of his diet actually requires a bit more estrogen in his diet than he would like to going. So he's gonna get more emotional because of it.
Oh, okay.
It's just because of the diet, it's not getting as much like testosterone or meat in the diet. So just naturally, he's probably going to be a bit more emotional.
Okay. But yeah, but I still like him. Cool guy.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. All right, got some sad news coming up that we're going to be discussing. So the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh, Takahashi Kazuki, passed away at the age of 60. It was a snorkeling incident that happened in which he passed away. Yu-Gi-Oh was a big thing kind of in my childhood. It was kind of the first maybe big nerdy thing I got into when I was a kid. Was playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I collected the cards. I had a deck, all that different stuff like that. And yeah, so it did have a very much kind of big impact on my childhood. It's kind of maybe, kind of how I got more gateway into other kind of geeky stuff like anime and, other kind of shows like that. But I remember watching it. WB Kids, it was on, used to watch it, in the mornings. Yeah, I, have that kind of connection to it. So it was just such a surprising news that just came out of nowhere about his passing. Um, and just he just was his body was discovered 1,000 feet offshore at about 10:30 a.m. local time.
So
And just
do they know what happened? Like what went wrong? I mean, he was
um,
snorkeling.
yeah, I think they say it was just like an accident when he was like snorkeling. I don't think the exact specifics of it are out there, but I think that's as far as much as I see right there. What do you
You're not
guys
supposed to go
connect?
snorkeling by yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So what do you
Just like you
guys?
were saying, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Like, I remember Saturday mornings. It was the Batman. It was
Mhm.
Yu-Gi. That was my Saturday morning when I was a kid growing up. I bought the cards. I collected. I got decks. I think still lying around my parents' house.
Fucking
Oh,
nerd.
it's really sad. He
You had the
was.
decks on? Fucking nerd. Fucking nerd.
Oh no!
Jesus.
Oh no!
Yeah, but he was basically my gateway into other nerd stuff. He was my gateway into stuff like video games, stuff like other American comics, even other anime that I watched when I was younger. Uh, Kazuki Takahashi was the gateway,
Hmm.
and the fact that he still contributed to Yu-Gi-Oh long after the show, long after the manga and the show, spun off, created a whole bunch of different other series like GX, like 5Ds, like Zeal, everything else that came after. He contributed art to all of the cards long after the show ended.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, did you read the manga or no?
I read a little bit of the manga, yeah,
Hmm.
but I haven't picked it up in a long time.
Yeah. And it says Yu-Gi-Oh! This is from CNN right here. It says Guinness World Records has recognized Yu-Gi-Oh! As the world's best-selling trading card game with over 25 billion cards sold around the world as of 2011.
Sounds about
Ha!
right.
Suck it, Magic.
Yeah.
Eh. Wizards of the Coast are pretty pissed.
Yeah. Um,
They're
and
probably the ones
the
that caused the snorkeling accident.
And the 100th Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series held on Long Beach, California in 2013 is also recognized as the largest trading card game tournament ever held. A total of 4,364 players known as duelists. Wow, could you imagine saying that? It's like, I'm a duelist. You know what I mean? I'm not just like casually, I'm a duelist. Battled against one another at the event, breaking the record previously held by Magic the Gathering tournament, which attracted over 2,227 players in Madrid, Spain in 2010. What are Magic the Gathering players called? What are they called when they play?
That's gatherings.
Fucking
Just-
nerds.
Yeah, they're not really called anything specific. It's like, what are they called? Star Wars nerds. Star Trek, they're called Trekkies or Trekkers.
Mm.
Star Wars, they're just, I don't know, Warsies? Warsers?
Yeah. Starsies? Starsies?
Starsies, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh, yeah, Dusk, what's your kind of experience with Yu-Gi-Oh?
I kind of grew up around that aspect of the card game. Probably one of the first bigger games. It was like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Digimon, all that aspect of that. It was Toonami was first coming in. Even before that, even before Toonami, there was like you'd see offshoots of maybe like shows like Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon or some like the really obscure stuff. It wasn't until like really DBZ and Toonami they started really bringing it to the West that it was like a super niche thing. Occasionally, you see reruns of Speed Racer.
Mm.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, it was there early on in my life. I never quite got into it, but I did watch the anime and I did actually read the manga. It's way different than the anime. Holy crap! Way darker.
Really?
Way darker than
Do you remember?
Oh
like,
yeah.
what kind of darker stuff happens in it?
So Yu-Gi-Oh in Japanese means king of games, not necessarily king of card games. So people are more pieces of crap. And
Mm.
Yami Yugi, the alternate, the pharaoh that possesses Yugi, he's a king of games. So a lot of it has to do with like gambling, or he fights against people, or he uses games as a way of. And it's literally anything. It could be anything from, oh, we're gonna play. I'm gonna play you in a game since you're a bully at school and you're picking on me and picking on others. Uh, we're gonna have this ice like red hot table that you grill things on, and I'm gonna encase this vial full of explosive liquid in ice, and we're gonna smack it around. And if it whoever ends up is gonna explode in their face, and could potentially kill them. Or another event where a guy, he's like a cameraman, but he's like abusing his position and doing like dirty photos or dirty, and uses this as blackmail. Where he's like, let's do a dice game. If you win, you just is a, if I win, you destroy your evidence. If I win, you get to keep it and keep doing what you're doing. And it's like using supernatural means that end up that he plays a game with somebody.
Oh,
It's not until later in the after the first arc that it starts being even close to what the anime is kind of like, where
so it's
it
kind
starts
of
focusing on dual
it
monsters.
was kind of Squid Games before Squid Games.
Yeah, it was basically he just took any game or anything and utilized it, and it wasn't until he focused solely on dual monsters later on. Also, the
Yeah,
Egyptian items were a lot more proficient in the early ones, and people legit died. There was no like, oh, in what some terms. No, people
yeah,
legit
Yami
died.
was Yami was essentially a serial killer in the
Yeah,
original
he
the
was.
original manga.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a guy who escaped from prison famously and held up a place, and he used a game. Okay, if you move one, if you can pick one finger, and you can only use one. And the guy has like a gun in his hand. He's like, "Well, I'm just gonna pick my trigger finger with my gun." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna pick my thumb to utilize it." And the guy's still pouring out alcohol as they're talking because he can't move. The rule is, if you move or you don't use anything other than that, then you lose, and whatever. And ends up that Yami picked his thumb because then he could activate the lighter, leave it on top of his hand that's still pouring alcohol, and eventually he's gonna have to move because now it's pouring all over him. And he's gonna have to move at some point. And if he pulls the trigger, it'll move the thing, and the fire will consume him. And guess what? That's what happens, and the guy dies. And a lot of people see horrible things happen to them, and they just move on. Uh, yeah, it doesn't really get. It's pretty dark compared to the anime, which pulled back on the murder death. Kaiba's also a complete sociopath in the manga. He's a lot crueler and evil in the original.
In the anime, he's basically just
A jerk.
Elon. He's just a douchebag that can't get over losing a card game one time.
Yep.
Uh,
Obsesses with him.
Actually,
He
I
wants to
haven't
fuck
seen
dragons.
Yu-Gi-Oh in forever since I was a kid. It kind of makes me go back and rewatch Yu-Gi-Oh again because I haven't.
It's a
Watched...
fun romp. My favorite character was always Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he was always my favorite underdog character, and he also gets a little bit more respect in the anime, a little bit. In the manga, he also got some respect. He was also a bully for Yugi in the manga at first, and it wasn't until like Yugi stood up for him later that he realized he was being a dick, and he ends up getting the medallion pieces, and they become good friends later, and become like for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh, one of like the first big things on series that came out like around the time of like Team 4-Star with Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Oh
and
yeah,
that ended up being
Little
one of the bigger
Karibo.
things. Yeah, which I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is still ongoing.
It is. Actually, it just had its most recent episode last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after like I think like months of hiatus, he just released an episode this week. So it's really sad coincidence that the creator died. But yeah, he just released another one just recently. Little Karibo released his own abridged. I mean, it's still going technically. Team 4-Star is still technically ongoing, even though they're not doing the Boo Saga, or they will. Who knows? They're just taking a break for a while.
Did you ever play Yu-Gi-Oh! Dusk?
I played it briefly. Still have some cards left over, some rare cards actually. I'm still holding on to because why not? Some of them from like the original first print too, when it came to America. But I don't know. I haven't played that stuff in a while, and I've never been much of a card player. But I
Yeah.
always thought the monsters designs were interesting, and it was interesting to watch the phenomena kind of spread.
Mm. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like a big thing that caught on. Like I remember trading the cards, playing it. I had a little deck, and I kept my cards, man. I kept them nice, man. But trading with other kids, I don't know what the fuck they were doing to their cards. They must have shoved
I
it up
know.
their ass or something. I don't know. They must have. Like they would look like
They
they were
didn't have
chewing on
card
it,
sleeves on them.
huh?
They didn't have the fucking card sleeves on them.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a nice put it in a case because if you keep it out for too long and oxygen's gonna get to it, it's gonna fuck up the cards and crease them and yeah, it's just man, you gotta take care of them. But I haven't played it. I don't even know how to play anymore. I haven't played since I was probably in seventh
Oh, the
grade.
game has changed so much; it wouldn't even be the same.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
No, it's completely changed as a game.
yeah, because I was like, I don't know what the fuck is happening now. All that shit. So, yeah, and also with Yu-Gi-Oh had that great theme. I'm playing it right now on stream.
Yeah.
That theme was a banger. That's for sure.
It's time to.
Yeah. I think Nick. I think he'll like what I'm playing on stream if he looks at the video. I think he'll like it. Yeah. I love this video. This is my favorite video. Boy, I love it. Oh man, I love that video. That's that's funny. I love that video, man. If somebody is listening, it was the video where you have like I guess it's like a birthday party or something like that. I guess or some kid's birthday party, and you have Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah, it's like a kid's birthday party. They got Woody, and he's just like busting out. He's like, dude, you got fucking served.
Yeah, like it's just he's serving up some fucking 8-year-old, fucking dance. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, that theme song is a fucking banger.
Yeah.
Poor
And
kids occasionally got it right.
And even the spin-off shows like a GX and 5Ds, those still had their.
Oh.
They do still have their fans. They do still have their fans.
Yeah, GX is okay. 5Ds is.
5Ds is nuts.
And
There's also a series after that too.
motorcycle.
There's also series past that as well, like VX or some crap or whatever. It kept on going. It got more anime as it went along and stopped. What's interesting about Yu-Gi-Oh is what started off as kind of being this weird mesh of like Egyptian mythology in a card game and like a pharaoh that possessed a guy, just kept on going and then just said, screw all that. The money's where the card game is.
Dude.
He just kept on pushing it.
and just like dudes blatantly cheating at this card game.
Oh my god, yeah. They actually it's always funny to watch the discrepancy on the anime and be like, Team Stars had a good time where he brought out it was Yamayuki against Cell, and he's like, a duel to the death and a fight for victor. Finally, someone who understands me, who understands what this is all about. The fight.
Now
He's
break
like,
out your cards.
He's like, I get your cards here. What? And then like throughout the entire deck, he's like, nope, that's banned, and that one's banned, and that man is banned. He's like, half your deck is banned. He's like, screw this, and he just leaves.
Yeah, that's been banned since 2003. Pot of Greed, 2006. Monster Reborn, 2010.
He's just like, to hell with this, and he just leaves.
I showed some footage a little bit of people playing in a tournament, Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Them kind of doing that, which is okay.
There were the jackasses. They sometimes come out with like 1,000 decks, like a literal 1,000 card deck. They're dirt. There are some.
There's like a joke on Yu-Gi-Oh GX about this guy that literally has like a cowboy's holster full of like 8 different decks, and he just like rips his fucking jacket open and reveals them.
Yeah.
Did you all have the like the what do you call it, the thing where you put the cards into like
the
on
dual disc?
Yeah, did you have
the dual disc?
Yeah.
I may or may not have gotten.
It's so useless because it'll never hold on.
Yeah,
it'll never do whatever. I could be like, unless there's like tiny magnets on the cards, you're never.
You can't fit the fucking cards with the like protectors in the disc.
Yeah. No, man, but it's sad. Honestly, it's really sad to hear that, especially if something like snorkeling. Snorkeling is usually not that dangerous.
Yeah.
It's you don't need oxygen tanks for that. I don't know what could have happened. I don't know if he got hit by an undertow or something. He
Yeah.
didn't realize it. That's
Um,
really a shame, man.
the CNN article I was looking at, they were saying that the investigation is still ongoing, so they're still trying to
Yeah,
figure out what happened
yeah,
there.
man. I hope, but it's my heart goes out to all the fans and the people who remember it, and I hope whoever is extended family, whoever, I wish my condolences. And man, yeah, we lost a Mangekyo legend. Even if you may
Yeah.
not like where it kind of spin off from, or what's happened to the series, or what it's done for manga or other stuff, you gotta respect the guy for the hustle and
Yeah.
how
Also,
much he's made of his franchise.
he basically did the most ambitious cross with Bonds Beyond Time, where you had all three Yu-Gi-Oh protagonists in the same movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it didn't
He did
complete.
it. Zuki Takahashi did it first, bitch.
It did, and it didn't actually suck. Apparently, it was just it was pretty okay.
In the fucking newest one that they made a couple years ago, where it brought back Yugi, that was a legitimately good movie.
Yeah.
Eh,
Hey, Dark Side of Dimensions fucking rips.
too much Kaiba.
Literally travels to another dimension.
He literally
to have
does just to fight Yugi as he's disappearing from existence. He can't let go of the fact that he lost a card game. That man's ego is the size of the planet. God damn it!
Dude creates a fucking space station to solve the Millennium Puzzle for him.
He does basically just does it for him.
Dark Side of Dimensions is insane,
It is stupid as shit.
but it's so much fun.
It is. If you're wanting to go and win it drunk and not give a crap about it, is insane anime fun. Yeah, man. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say, man. The series went from kind of like the series is what it is. It's like a forefather of kind of the crazy stuff we get.
Yeah.
It's what other series wants to be. They want to have
like-
that level of marketing.
It was like the beginning of the anime, but
It was
like
there
that
during
came-
it. It was definitely
that
there.
came out. Yeah, that was like around during like the initial Pokemon series
Yeah.
days. That was around during Naruto. That was
Yeah.
when Adult Swim was really blowing up with its anime hours.
Yeah.
Because the manga came out in 1996 and the anime came
Yeah.
out in 99.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds about right. That also doesn't count the season 0, which is closest to the manga, where Kaiba had green hair, and they had
Yami's
another-
a psychopath.
well, yeah, they also had an extra. They actually had an extra character with them as well. She was a one-off, one-shot character who was there for like in the manga for. She was like a Tristan love interest, and they decided, let's just make her part of the cast for a bit. And she didn't last long, and then they ditched her for the rest. What is considered the main canon of season 1. There's also the Red Eyes Black Dragon had its own little movie. That was like the first movie that came out of that, and that's about the kid who has the rare Red Eyes Black Dragon, and that's its own thing. Joey punches a lot of people in that movie because Joey, that's just what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey Chi, whatever you call him.
Rest in power too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, sweet prince.
All right. Moving on, we're gonna be discussing James Caan. James Caan also recently passed away at the age of 82. Legendary actor known for his roles as Sonny Corleone and The Godfather, also in the movie Elf, also in the movie Misery. He was also in Brian's Song as well. We played Brian Piccolo, football player. This was also kind of news out of nowhere. James Caan. I didn't know James Caan was that up there. I didn't know he was 82. I didn't know he was that up there. Looks great though. I mean, he looked great. Seemed like a guy that was moving, out and about. Of course, his legendary performance, in things like The Godfather. There he played Sonny, and then also things like in Misery. Misery is, I think, one of his best performances was in Misery. I mean, that was such a great kind of team between him and Kathy Bates. I mean, amazing.
Kathy Bates still gives me chills every time in that movie.
Just amazing stuff there. Long life. I think 82. When you make it to like 82, I think that's a pretty long life, a pretty great life. You make it to kind of that age. Any thoughts you guys have?
Rest in peace. He was one of the greats.
Dust?
Even in something small like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, how do you get that good a performance out of that film?
Oh, that's another great one. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That is, yeah. Also, I think, yeah, I love that movie too. One of the best animated.
Yeah, that's a good animated movie. Where it almost didn't have any right to be as good as it was.
Yeah. Any thoughts there, Dusk?
I mean, the guy was a legend, still going. Still, I mean, even now, even up to 2021 with Queen Bees and his many roles in television, the Las Vegas series. It's Ed Deline, which is a good comedy drama series. I mean, voiced himself in Sims. He's just the kind of character that when you saw him, you're always kind of happy to see him. You're like, oh, okay. God damn it, we keep losing goddamn great character actors. It's pissing me off.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're getting old, man. Get up there.
I know, man. I know. So sad.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how many people from the original Godfather cast are still around? Anyway, I wonder.
Not many.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the Godfather. It's becoming. It's almost like now. It's like the Godfather's kind of like Citizen Kane now. It's like now it's kind of like it's like this really really super old movie now. It's like the further we get from it, it's like because Godfather came out in 74, right? No, 72. 72, yeah.
Yeah, he was a Sonny Corleone, the adopted son.
Yeah.
Well, we still got Alfie Pacino.
Yeah.
Himself.
Don't jinx it. Don't.
I know.
Don't jinx it.
I mean, how old is Al Pacino? Oh God, he's 82 too.
Yeah.
Shit. Keep drinking those Jamba Juice, Al. Keep drinking them.
Keep going to Dunkin' Donuts. Keep going. Yeah. Get the Pacino, Dunkin' Chino.
The Dunkin'
Yeah, keep drinking.
Oh shit. I mean, we still got Robert Duvall.
Yeah, Robert Duvall.
He was 91.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, we're losing them. No.
Yeah.
We got Diane Keaton.
Yeah, Diane Keaton. Yeah, she's still around.
76.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, James Caan, great actor, amazing actor. And another actor that recently passed away, Tony Sirico. He was known as Paulie Walnuts in the Sopranos series. He died at the age of 79. You all, I can't remember. Did you all see Sopranos? Or no?
I have.
I
talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we did Many Saints in Newark, I was talking about it from the perspective of someone who watched it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mostly know, Sopranos, obviously a legendary series, great series, highly regarded from top to bottom. The cast was amazing. What kind of were your thoughts on him on the series and his legacy in general?
God, that's a loaded ass question. I mean, he's a. It's like one other character from how do I say this? It's like someone being in The Godfather, and then someone who's in The Sopranos, and then someone who's in the Goodfellas, or something like that. You kind of have such a character performance. You're just gonna show up in other very related stuff. You're just gonna give a bang out performance.
Yeah.
Another actor that passed away, last month. He was very similar. He played one role in The Godfather and the Goodfellas, and that's what he played as a character actor for most of his time, even up to recently in the Many Saints in Newark.
Yeah, Ray Liotta. Yeah.
So, Ray Liotta. So yeah, man, it's kind of.
Yeah, we lost. Yeah,
can't go. Yeah, we got Ray Liotta too, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and also just this year, so what was his name? Damn, can't believe I'm blanking. From Civil War, Thunderbolt Ross.
Right.
Dang
Hurt.
Yeah, William Hurt. Yeah,
William Hurt. Yeah, William Hurt too.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's hard for me to directly. It's just yeah, he just does a great performance no matter what he does. He's always does something that you're just like, yeah,
Yeah.
you always remember it.
What did he mostly do after Sopranos ended?
In Sopranos, he
No,
did a lot of.
after Sopranos ended.
I mean, after Sopranos, he did a lot of movie roles. Remember, he was an elf. Well, as the father, Walter Hobbs.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
forgot that.
he was also in. I don't know if anyone remembers that. He was also in Viva Lost Nowhere. I mean, that's barely anyone remembers that shit. Although that was before. That was before Sopranos. He was. He's also done voice work too on occasion. Um, I believe he like nobody would remember him and some of those stuff, but he's been mostly doing stuff that you know just other movies here and there. But yeah, mostly his early career, and then occasionally showing up as a cameo and other stuff. And the most recent thing I can remember him being in was in a TV series in 2013 called Back in the Game, that didn't last long. Okay. He was a newly divorced. It was about like a newly divorced single mother who moved back home to live with her ex minor league manager father, and he was pretty good in that. Okay. Again, it's kind of one of those things where it's like can't really go wrong with him, no matter where he goes, what he does.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, he's been mostly doing stuff outside of it. And same with Ray Liotta. Like once you kind of typecast as that, you kind of just keep going.
Yeah. I didn't know he was in an assisted living facility, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He was diagnosed with dementia some years ago, so that's kind of sad news to hear about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we had some actors kind of pass away this week. Yeah, some sad news there going on. But that is our last story of the day. We're gonna be back Saturday. Nick and me. Dusk, he has to work tomorrow, but Nick and me will be back Saturday with some special guest Elijah. Elijah's going to be coming through from Back to the Topic podcast. We're also going to have Kasem, a professional MMA fighter, expressing his nerdy side. Instead of throwing them fists, he's going to be throwing them opinions at us tomorrow. Also, Ashley Lynch, critic, going to be coming in for the Black Phone for us. And we're going to have our editor, Matt. Matt on his way. He's going to be giving that Minions Rise of the Gru review. Thank God that he saw it, so I didn't have to. He gave his thoughts on that. But he's going to be coming through for that. This was a great show. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Being on.
Always fun.
I'm going to find somebody to raid, and then I'm going to be getting out of here. But like I said, tomorrow we're going to be coming back, right? We're going to be reviewing Lightyear, which is, would you say, I guess you could say it's a spinoff of the Toy Story franchise. Spinoff of the Toy Story.
I think they said that this is the movie that Andy saw that inspired him to buy a Buzz Lightyear toy.
Yeah, so would you say that's a
that shit.
Spinoff? Or?
I'd say that's bullshit.
That's complete BS.
So, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll do a spoiler review of Thor Love and Thunder tomorrow as well. Also, we're going to do an Elvis. The Bob
Also, to correct you, I don't know if you... Tony Sircio, he was on Soprano. James Caan wasn't. I was referring to Tony Sircio. We were talking about Sopranos. I don't know if that was clear. I think you thought it was the same person. James Caan was in the movies I was mentioning. I think you leaped over to Tony Sircio when things talking.
Yeah, because I moved on from James Caan and talking about
Sorry, Tony Sircio. He's done other stuff, character stuff. That's what I was trying to say. Is he's moved on to other stuff and been everything.
Yeah.
But once you kind of play a character like that, you kind of stuck in that role like that. Just keep going it.
Yeah, because James Caan was an elf, not Tony Sircio.
Yeah. James Caan was an elf. He was also in those other shows I mentioned, but that's because I think we're still talking about James Caan. But yeah, Sopranos. That was Tony Sircio. I'm sorry, I kind of blinked. That was my bad.
Okay. Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, I don't know why I mixed both of them together.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm gonna be doing that spoiler for Thor: Love and Thunder, Elvis, Black Phone, and Stranger Things. I gotta get to watching Stranger Things right now. I gotta watch that.
Good luck, bro.
Yeah. How many episodes is it?
3 episodes. One of it's an hour and 10. The 2 others are 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta watch that. Okay, I'm gonna watch that tonight. For tomorrow, I'm gonna be doing a spoiler review for Stranger Things season 4, part 2. I'm gonna be getting into that.
Stay up too late.
Anyway, so I'm gonna doing R-rated. I'm gonna be rating rated M for immaturity. They're streaming right now. They're playing Rabid Respawn. Don't know what that is, but that's what they're doing right now. So yeah, good guys over there. They do great stuff. So I'm gonna be talking to them about it. Nick, where can people find you, man?
All right, you find me on the Twitter, the Instagram, at Night and Day Nick.
All right, Dusk. People can find you just on this podcast, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome stuff. Also, hey, people, you can find us everywhere. We're on all the social medias: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the Afternoon Tune. Hey, you can check us out also on YouTube, youtube.com, The Afternoon Tune. If you want to send us an email, at theafternoontune@gmail.com. We are wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you check us out on either platform, make sure to leave a good 5-star review. That helps boost up the podcast a lot. Hey, we're streaming on Twitch, right? Twitch.tv/Afternoon Tune. You can check us out there, streaming typically every Friday, Saturday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be back to you all this Saturday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, checking you out with a lot of special guests. I'm going to be tossing you all to Rated M for Immaturity, playing Rabid Spawn right now. But I had a lot of great time. I had a lot of fun talking about this. If you don't come in for tomorrow, Saturday, Friday, we're going to be back. And Friday, what comes out next week? I'm trying to think in my head real quick. I'm trying to think of what movie comes out next week. I'm kind of blanking. Yeah, but we're going to be back next week, Friday, with something. We're going to be talking about something. We're going to be running our mouths about something. That's for sure. We're definitely going to be doing the finale for Miss Marvel. That's coming out next week. We're definitely going to be talking about that. But yeah. All right, y'all. Take care. I'm going to be rated M for immaturity right now. And yeah, hope you have a great time. Hey, to all you people out there, don't forget to always stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Did you end up watching Stranger Things? Did you already see it already there, Dusk? Part 2?
No, actually, I have not.
Oh, okay.
So you're not the only one, brother.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you for the long haul.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you Friday. Do you know like what comes out Friday? I think
Shit.
movie wise, I don't know.
I don't know, brother. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go, man. All right. Take care.
All right, brother. Yeah, take care. Try not to stay too late. Have a good night.
Good night.